Assalamu alaikum, guys. Welcome to episode number 14 of Freshly Grounded. Sam, why don't you just say some words while I try and find the translation?
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, guys, to another episode of Freshly Grounded. This is episode 14. And in what language have you got to say 14?
I'm trying to find it now because I've never
so much time to
I know I've had
prepare
a
this.
week.
You do it every single time. Episode 14.
Episode number 14, which is in Catalan. What language is that? I don't know. Let's not go with that. Let's go with Croatian. In Croatian, it is... Oh, that's too difficult. In Danish. Okay, that's easy. In Danish, episode for 14.
For 14. Alhamdulillah. Episode for 14, we're here. Is that the right pronunciation?
I love Danish. Look. Listen to how easy these numbers are. 11 is 11. 12 is 12. Oh, man. We're definitely... 16 is sexten. 17 is Saiten. 18 is Aten. Yes, alhamdulillah, this is a very exciting episode. We brought to you. All right, we get it. We brought to you by 5950_9 on the Instagram. It's 59 Stanhope Road in St Albans, Hertfordshire. If you're ever in Hertfordshire, or if you're not in Hertfordshire, please do go. I say this from the bottom of my heart. It's my favourite cafe to ever go to. A beautiful, fresh food, fresh coffee, fresh snacks, freshly grounded coffee, and a brand new menu as of this week. If you go there and quote freshly grounded, you also get yourself a white chocolate mocha for the same price as a regular mocha. I'll tell you that much now. And so I've heard some of you guys have been doing that, which is amazing because it just helps us know that you guys are there. Really?
Listen, yeah.
There's someone out there. What are some of the new stuff that's on the menu there, Sam?
Brand new menu. We've got new sourdough sandwiches. We've got new homemade beans on toast. We've got new juices, new frozen yogurt smoothies, new iced coffees. Alhamdulillah, it's a good menu. Come and check us out.
Yes, and also what you buy is zaha.com, izaha.com. Arabic caps, jumpers, t-shirts, sweatshirts. We got a bunch of new things coming in Ramadan, inshallah, as well, so it's something to look out for. You use the code word freshly grounded in your cart, you get a bit of a 15% off. So make sure you use that and utilize it and help support small Muslim businesses. There's a new thing that I've never said before.
Yeah.
Why not?
Do you know?
I'm going to stick to that.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Say it again.
I don't know about it.
Say it again. Just say it again and see how much confidence you got with it.
Help support
small
Muslim businesses.
Mm.
No, because you know why I say that?
Yeah.
I was driving past a flower shop recently in my work, and guess what it said on the outside? It said a beautiful message.
Small helps support small flower businesses.
Well, it said shop locally, because by shopping at this shop, you're not helping a large CEO get his third holiday home. What you're doing is you're helping a young boy have a football lessons.
It said all this.
Huh?
It said all
this,
really?
and you're helping a young girl have dance classes.
Wow.
And then underneath it said shop locally, and I thought that's a powerful.
Wow,
message.
that is powerful.
Yeah. So why don't you go and buy your missus some flowers from that flower shop only down the road?
Why don't you go and buy your missus some flowers from that flower shop only down the road?
I've got to stop the car and it's under a bridge. You're on foot, aren't you, Sam? Anyway, also brought to you by Flavor, FLAVR. Flavor is your one-stop shop for branding, social media marketing, viral campaigns. Let's say you have a brand or a product that you want to promote. You don't know how to do it. You haven't got a big following on social media. You haven't got a mobile app. Flavor is your one-stop shop. You can hit me up on my Flavor email address if you wish to inquire. That's Faisal, that's my name, Faisal at flavor, flavr.co. That's not co. It's not .coco, it's just .co. Anyway, what do we discuss in this episode? We have a very special guest in this episode, don't we, Sam?
Yes. Who do we have?
We have a brother who is a da'i. He's very well known in the dawah scene. He's from America. He's a martial artist. We speak a bit about how he can handle his business. Let's just say that on the podcast. We got brother Yusha Evans. Very, very, very exciting episode. I loved it.
Yeah, it was great.
What did we discuss?
Jiu-jitsu.
We discussed jiu-jitsu. We discussed martial arts in general. We discuss we
discussed business. We discussed dealing with stress.
Yeah.
We discussed
Wow, we discussed so much that my mind's gone blank. We did discuss
Mentioned
martial arts. Yep. Traveling. Yusha's characteristic of becoming obsessed in a positive way with things. Sorry. Diet. Yeah. Meat.
Yep.
Milk.
Milk.
We didn't discuss milk, but maybe next week.
Hope so. Milk and dairy.
Yeah.
Red meat.
Chicken.
Vegetables.
We discussed
Ramadan.
the southern part of Ramadan. Yeah.
That was good.
We discussed the southern parts of America where Yusha is from, South Carolina, and kind of the way of life there. Yep. Guys, episode for Jordan. Let's get into it. And welcome to Freshly Grounded, the brand new podcast by best friends Faizu and Sam.
Huh?
I said welcome to Freshly Grounded,
After that bit.
the brand new podcast
And after that bit?
by best friends Faizu and Sam.
Really?
Oh, now we're live. We're joined by I was trying to think last night, Sam, about like categories of like how I can explain, and every time I like we bring guests in, I like introduce them. I'm conscious because they don't want to be praised. So we are here with Dati, martial artist, traveler, speaker, car enthusiast and shoe enthusiast, among many other things. Brother Yusha Evans, all the way from the United States. And first question I have to ask is, how was your flight, and did you fly with hold on, I forgot now. United. Did you fly United?
No, alhamdulillah. It's a long flight from LA. It's 10 hours. I didn't fly United. I flew the prestigious Virgin Atlantic.
Do you fly United?
No, I don't fly. I almost never fly United.
Have you, Sam? You saw that stuff in it online?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
But I feel like it's just weird how like the one thing came out and then like loads of things came out after.
Yeah. I think good. I think I really quite enjoyed that period of time after that incident, just because all the stupid things that were created for social media about United, like, you know, there's martial arts, someone's doing martial arts and they're saying it's United training and all the different people getting dragged down, and I thought it was humorous because it was a terrible situation what happened to that gentleman.
Yeah. Awful,
but it's kind of good that it was highlighted so much, and because people have got rights, you know what I mean. And the guy was like, he was a doctor as well. I think he was a doctor. He was dragged off an aeroplane in front of everyone with his top sort of over his head. I'm glad it was good that United got exposed and sort of. I thought it was humorous in my opinion.
Did you fly United when you went?
I didn't fly United. I flew Virgin.
Oh, you guys with your Virgin planes and your Stone Island jackets.
I'm not wearing a Stone Island jacket.
It's the same brand though, same company, isn't it? Is it not? You taught me that, Sam.
It's true. It's technically, I've got no Stone Island badge on today, but brother Yusha has
one day you might see. Yeah, we can't ever have one episode where there's no Stone Island in an episode.
I was just talking to Matthew. I was just reading through the YouTube comments of last episodes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen any of it.
I have.
Loads of people just writing about
Stony.
It's Stony week, every week, Stony week, all this stuff. Alhamdulillah, I came in and shocked everyone with no Stone Island, but
even then we can't get
away with it. And then you're repping Azaha at the end, mashallah. Beautiful t-shirt.
Alhamdulillah.
Mashallah.
One day you might see me just walk up on the podcast in Stone Island. Maybe Ramadan is like a special one, you know?
You could do.
We should go shopping again together one time. Remember
Inshallah.
that time we went shopping?
Yeah, that was nice, yeah.
Yusha, I really want to ask you your opinion on something. Having an American on kind of set with us, there's like this mad, especially like I could only speak from the UK the UK like Muslims. Like in this like UK Muslim, I don't know, scene if you want to call it, there is like a perception of Americans and America that's so negative, and almost like when you think America, you do think like you think like your typical Trump supporter kind of American, and that's like generalized. I'll be right in thinking that, wouldn't I, Sam? You just went to America, so I'll hold on to your opinion for a second. Yeah, because you recently told me different as well. But whenever I speak to Americans like yourself, I get told, and this. So I'm coming from a perspective of someone who's never been to America, that America is like so much bigger than that, and there is it's lovely, and the people there are nice, and people generally get on with each other. You know, there's masjids, and it's not you won't go there, and it's just like completely like anti-Islam and everything like in your face.
Yeah.
And when Sam recently went to America, he told me the same thing. He said he had an amazing time, and the people were lovely. So I want you to break a few myths for us if you can.
Well, the problem is when people ask me, how is this in America? How is that in America? And I'm just like, you have to understand America is massive. You know what I mean? The size of America is like, you're talking about all of Europe and the UK, all of that together. You know, from California to New York is a 5.5 hour flight. You know, so between all of that, you can find everything. Any stereotype you wanted to find in America, good or bad, I can tell you where you can go find it. You understand? But there's no one overall, this is how Americans are. It's just a reality like that. Like, if you were to go to the South, where I'm from, born and raised, you're going to find people who are what you would typically call redneck, you know, who are very anti anything that's not 100% pure Americano. You know, then you're also going to find people who are the most hospitable, the most well-mannered, mild-natured people. Even my wife, because she's from England, when I first took her to the deep South, she was so shocked that everybody smiles at you, looks you in the eye, talks to you, opens doors for you. She was like, this is just... Now, if you go to LA or New York and try to do the same thing, people look at you like you're stupid. Like, do you know me? Why are you talking to me? Why are you even looking at me?
That sounds like London.
Yeah, so it's far and few in between when it comes to, you know, the most arrogant, ignorant type of American that you would think of in that nature, anti-Muslim, anti-anything. Most people in America are just trying to live their lives and get by, and they don't really care about what the next person's doing in their life. You know, it's just a perception.
So being from South, is it called South America? South America is like Brazil and stuff, isn't
Yeah,
it?
that's another one of the continent.
Southern America, that's where you're from, right?
The South.
The South in America. Inside the America, you're in the South.
Inside the America. The southern region of America.
In the southern region of America, that's like what's like as you were saying, like stereotypically. Even when I was studying criminology as well, we actually we did like a long part on like Tennessee and just a bunch of I'm in the right region, right?
Yeah, Tennessee. Yeah.
And like a bunch of stuff that's happening in South. How many Muslims are there out there? Because if anybody hasn't listened to Brother Yusha Evans' story, we're not going to do it now.
No.
but on YouTube, there's about a 1 hour YouTube video that actually Onali, who sat here, recommended to me. And he was telling me, for how long was you telling me, bro? About a year. Have you watched Yusha Evans' review? Sorry, have you watched it? I thought, I'll watch it. He's like, nice, you have to watch it. Like, trust me, it will change your... like, it's all about all religions and everything. I just never got around to it. And then one time, when did I end up... No. I watched it before, but I watched it before we met Yusha last time. Maybe like... So I watched it about five months ago now. And he was right. And then I recommended it to Omar, and Omar watched it and stuff like that. So I would definitely recommend anybody who's listening who hasn't watched the story. And I'll tell you why, because it's not just... And while we're at it, watch Sam's review story on YouTube as well. That's there as well. But the brother talks about kind of all religions and how he almost used... I'm talking in third person, but you used deductive reasoning to essentially come to Islam, right?
Basically, yeah.
You analysed and researched every single religion and you deduced kind of... I'm just kind of giving a summary. I'm not going to do it justice, but you deduced parts from each religion until you came to the truth of Islam. And the way you did that is you read through each religion and you researched it until you found a mistake. And as soon as you found a mistake, you then kind of nullified that as a possibility of being the truth.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so being in... And you did all this while you were in the South, which is kind of, I assume, quite... I don't want to say anti, quite stern against maybe
anything other than Christianity,
right?
Yeah,
against Christianity. So, did you have any kind of like support in that kind of process, or were there any other Muslims that you like in your area that you're finding?
I mean, there's a community. There was a community where I was from in South Carolina, but it just wasn't a very active community. You know, I mean, they were your typical go to the masjid and leave. And there was no da'wah activities or anything of that nature. But I didn't stay in the South very long after becoming a Muslim.
Okay.
I moved away. I moved up north to the New York, New Jersey area, just because I realized that, you know, one of the things that would have been a hindrance to my Islam was, number one, there was nobody there that was really going to help me to learn about Islam, and then number two, all of my negative past was there, all the friends that I knew, and, you know, all the peer pressure. So I said, you know what, I just need to make a new break. So I moved away and moved up to New York in the New Jersey area.
How long was that after you were embracing Islam?
Less than a year.
Less than a year.
Less than a year, I was out of South Carolina.
Yeah.
There just wasn't anything in South Carolina. I mean, it's more active now.
Yeah.
We're talking 18 years, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
But then it just was so sparse, the amount of Muslims.
So it was only your only option really to benefit yourself for Dean wise was to move away.
Yeah,
Did
pretty
you
much.
go somewhere where you knew there was Dean or
Yeah.
yeah, which
Yeah,
was
yeah.
New York, New
Yeah,
Jersey.
New York, New Jersey. I first moved to Mount Holly, New Jersey, because I had there was a traveling speaker who basically was an old school da'wah guy. He helped Imam Siraj Wahaj get involved in da'wah. He helped Yusuf Estes get his start in da'wah. So he had come through South Carolina because he was an old school. He used to just get in his van and drive around, show up at it. I mean, he literally was so dedicated to da'wah, he didn't need to be invited. He would drive to a city, go to the phone book. This is back when payphones were still a big thing in the States. Go through, look for Muslim names in the phone book, call them, ask them where's the local mosque. And he would just go there and sit and talk to people who would listen to him.
MashaAllah.
So he'd come through our mosque, and I sat and talked with him and spent some time with him. He's like, why don't you move with me to New Jersey? I was like, all right, let's go. So I moved to New Jersey and got my start with him. That's when I was introduced to people like Siraj Wahaj and Yusuf Estes and a lot of other people who were, you know, superstars in the dawah at that time.
Yeah.
And that kind of started the ball rolling for me.
And how long were you in New Jersey and New York for?
Couple years.
Until
And then
you went
I moved to DC.
Yeah.
I moved to the DC area.
Where was it where you were working? Was it a pizza place you started working at?
That was
And you
in
had a boss
that was in Florida after I moved from DC.
So that was after DC you went to Florida, and that's when did you have quite an inspiring, was it a boss that you worked for?
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
boss that I worked for. I had when I first moved there, the only job I could find was in construction.
Mm-hmm.
And working in construction, which is with the big cinder blocks, the big bricks,
Yeah.
in the middle of summer in Florida, it's like brutal. You know what I mean? It's like slave work almost.
Yeah.
And when Friday came for Jum'ah, we had an argument, and they said, you can't leave and go to Jum'ah. And I was like, I'm not really asking you, I'm telling you. So they said, if you leave, you're fired. So I just left. It's like, you know, Allah is ar-Raziq, not you. So I left, went to the masjid, and the imam of the masjid, who was a very beautiful Palestinian brother, his son asked me, what are you doing for work? And I'm like, well, I just quit my job today. He was like, my dad needs somebody at his pizza shop. You want a job? So I took a job with him, and that became like, it wasn't so much his knowledge. He was extremely knowledgeable,
Yeah.
but his mannerism,
Yeah.
his adab, his etiquette,
Yeah.
I learned so much from it.
Alhamdulillah. And that was on the same day you left that one job, you had a job fell straight into
Paying
a new
me
job.
twice as much as I was just making.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Me and Sam were discussing the other day when I was at Sam's house about how both of us Sam reverted about 3 years ago, and I suppose started practicing about 3 years ago as well. And we were discussing how when we first started kind of becoming more conscious about the deen, we became really like strict and stern with it, and then mellowed out. And like, so at first almost like pushed our families away and everyone away, and then we realized that's not the correct way, only because you seem to like, I feel like this like overwhelming like light over you, like, wow, this is the truth, and you just want to spread it around the world. You want to tell everyone, especially your family, you want your family, and you start like going the wrong way about it, to the point where, you know, Sam was telling me about some certain things that his parents said to him. My mum said to me at the time, she was like, you're meant to be, you kind of found religion, it's meant to make you a nicer person, and nobody likes being around you anymore. If you're going to stay like this, then I'm kicking you out of my house. And and it seems to be a pattern when you hear a lot of people who go from either non-practicing to practicing, or from non-Muslim to Muslim. I'm interested because we've only ever spoken to or with people who are kind of in a similar boat, in the sense that it's only been 3, 4, 5 years. So 18 years ago?
Yeah, this December will be 18 years.
So 18 years ago when
Actually,
you
1999.
had that, was it?
Yeah, 19 years.
19 years ago. Alhamdulillah, man. May
catching
Allah,
up quick.
may Allah keep us all, guide us all the straight path.
I mean,
I mean,
19 years ago, was it similar? Because you have a bit of a different story. You actually moved away from your family and stuff like that. So did you go through that phase of kind of being, you can only see kind of black and white, and in the sense that you just want to go all guns blazing, or did you mellow out kind of through the process?
I've kind of been through that phase a few times.
Okay.
You know what I mean? In 19 years. You know, you have that initial zeal where I just wanted to learn and everything is black and white. You know what I mean? That was that initial phase where I didn't know a lot. So everything I learned was kind of like, I only looked at it in one way. You know what I mean? I would read a hadith or hear about a hadith, and that was it. You know what I mean? That was black and white, clear as day to me. Then as my knowledge progressed and I spent more time traveling, especially the past 10 years where I've traveled the globe and I've spent time with so many different Muslims in so many different places, I've kind of learned now that everything in Islam is not 100% black and white. Halal and haram are black and white. Everything else has colors to it. You know what I mean? And even the halal and the haram have this built-in flexibility that it's based on time and place. Something like something might not be beneficial at some point where it is at another. For instance, I love da'wah so much. I travel on planes a lot. You know, and it's crossed my mind a couple times that I'm on a 10-hour flight. All of these people, in reality, I could give them da'wah for the entire flight because they can't go anywhere. You understand? They can't. It's not like they can just run away, you know. But for me, in the current situation of the world, to jump up on a Virgin Airlines flight headed from LA to London and start giving hardcore da'wah, we all know what's happening at the end of that flight. You know what I mean? It'd be different if I'm just having a one-to-one conversation with the person next to me, but I'd go to jail if I jumped up and just started acting a fool on the plane and telling people that they're going to hell if they don't accept Islam and don't, you know. So I've kind of learned to mellow out a bit, you know what I mean, and take things that, like when I first became a Muslim, everybody gave me the impression that to be a good Muslim, I either had to be an Arab or a Paki. You know what I mean? Like I had to take on that identity. Yeah. I had to act like an Arab and walk like an Arab and dress like an Arab and eat like an Arab. But when my first sheikh was Pakistani, you know, everything was, you know, I almost thought that like that Shai was part of the religion. You know what I mean? I drank it so much, it was almost more than we prayed.
Right.
But then I came to the realization after a few years, and especially in the past 5-6 years, that I'm born and raised an American in the South. That is who I am. That's my identity.
And that's beautiful.
Yeah. I didn't need to erase my identity to become a Muslim. I just needed to mold my identity to rid myself of the things that were part of my identity that are not permissible. But those things that are permissible, it's not a problem. You know, I like things like you said, like I like fast cars, I like race cars, I like hamburgers, I like fried catfish and grits and all you know, there's certain things that I'm from the South and I'm gonna like. I love football, I like sports. Grew up like that. Didn't need to change that to become a good Muslim.
I think I had this discussion with you when the first time we kind of spent some time together when we were driving up to St Albans to see Sam, and I was saying that the reason I felt like I clinged onto Sam so well was that I just found a brother who completely loved and accepted his culture and didn't change his culture. I'm conscious of not praising too much, but then like still like was I became Muslim and was very much so conscious of being a Muslim, but didn't have to feel like he had to like neglect his culture because of it. And like I said last week, my wife and I went up to see Sam and his family, and on the way up we were discussing how I almost feel like more connected to kind of Sam because our goal is the same, like that we want to make it in the akhirah, right? So our goal in life is the same, whereas I might have some friends or non-friends of people who I know, like through family friends who are Pakistani, they have the exact same culture as me, but they might not be conscious of that goal as of yet, and it's hard for me to relate to them as much as our upbringing and everything. We say me and Sam have nothing in common, really. We have nothing in common. Like, I mean, we are both born and brought up in England, and so we do have like bits, but in a sense, our cultures, when we speak to each other about things in our cultures, we're always shocked about each other. Like, I'm telling him how much Asians spend at their weddings, and he's like shocked and all sorts of stuff. So, but that connection is because of Deen, and I think that's the beautiful thing. I think when people start to almost lose their culture because of Deen, it's a sad thing. Like, now I have to try and like act like an Arab or act like a a Pakistani or someone who's from Bangladesh, etc., etc. It's an amazing thing where you can just kind of accept your culture and know that everybody is here in this world. Like we're all kind of, I suppose, meant to be Muslim. With that being said, and on the topic of being Muslims, there's an argument that I really, really, really have been wanting to get someone's opinion on, and I feel like who better to get an opinion? I'm interested in getting your opinion, Yusha, on it. And it's the argument that Muslims, and especially young Muslims, they don't have the greatest role models, right? In the sense that in mainstream media. And there's an argument that there's a gap for young Muslim role models, be that like successful Muslims who are practicing but they're successful, or no matter in what field that they're in. However, so that's one argument. And then the counter argument to that is, I don't know if it's a counter argument or not, because I've just kind of made this up in my head, but there's something that kind of conflicts with it, and that's that I was at a khutbah a few years ago in Cardiff, and in the khutbah the khatib was saying, he was talking about the characteristics of a Muslim and akhlaq of a good Muslim, and he was some of the traits he was saying, and it's one of the things that really made me question myself. But some of the stuff he was saying is stuff like a person with a good akhlaq as a Muslim doesn't want to almost like be known by everyone, but everyone in his community, in his small community, people know him as a good person, that kind of stuff. But he doesn't want to be known. He doesn't want to be popular. He wants to keep himself to himself. He doesn't want to necessarily have millions of friends or millions of followers. He just wants to live his life peacefully, privately, like in the realms of Allah. And this is what the Khatib was saying, who is definitely much more knowledgeable than me. And I feel like those two may contradict each other. So where is the balance of... Because I personally feel, I don't know about yourself, that the young Muslims don't have role models that they can look up to in that. And I'm really interested in kind of your opinion on both arguments and which one you would take.
Well, in reality, no one has good role models in the media in contemporary society. That's not what the media is designed for. The media is not designed to push proper role models. You know, they have an agenda. They have a set system that they're supposed to, an idea that they're supposed to be pushing. So Muslims, non-Muslim, nobody has good role models in the media. All these people are pretty much idiots or don't know what they're doing with their own life. But maybe contemporary role models might be an issue. But in reality, the youth have the greatest role models. And that's a problem with our youth today, is they have no connection to their history. As far as they don't understand the history of this ummah. Because if you were to tell me that I have a son who's 11, that I don't have a role model that I can point him to that is a good Muslim example of how you can be young and still be active and productive in the deen, that would be a problem for me to say no, because we have people like Mus'ab ibn Umair, who I can point him to his story, which we have well recorded. People like Abdurrahman ibn Auf, who was a very young man when he accepted Islam. People like Abu Bakr, who was a very young man. People like Ali, who was a very young man. Or even for my daughter, people like Zainab, the daughter of the Prophet, that's my daughter's name anyway. But we have these role models. The problem is that what is termed as a role model in modern day society is a misplaced category. You understand? People who are popular, that's a role model. I don't understand how that's a role model. Just because you have 100,000 Instagram followers doesn't make you a role model, you know what I mean? Because people can get that by doing the most stupid, silly things. So the youth won't know what a true role model should be for them if they don't look at the role models of the past, like the companions and things of that nature. Because then they're not going to know who a real role model is. There were Muslims like Abdurrahman ibn Auf, who was a young man, who was a successful businessman. He was more wealthy than probably a lot of the wealthy people in the world today, because they don't have real wealth. It's all fake wealth. And yet he has an outstanding biography on how much he benefited Islam during the time of the Prophet ﷺ and after him. So when we have the proper, that's one thing that needs to be redefined for the youth. What is a role model? Not do you have role models that you can look at, but what is a role model?
Yeah.
That's interesting. So would you say there is currently no modern day role models? We should be looking in the past for role models opposed to...
No, there are modern day role models. They're just fewer and they're more few and far in between.
Yeah.
You understand? And they're not the people who get the most notoriety.
Mm-hmm.
not especially for not for doing good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For being moral, for being, you know, ethical and things. That's just not very popular in today's society. It's just not.
So where do the young Muslims of this generation, where do they look for inspiration and motivation?
Are you asking contemporary?
General question,
Okay.
yeah. To both of you.
Contemporary or in any realm.
In any realm.
In any realm, the best example are the companions.
Mm.
I mean, we have to go back and look at their lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said so much in praise of them, that He was pleased with them, they were pleased with Him, they were the best generation. Even the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam said that the best ummah is my ummah, qarni, the one that's with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we have to, if we don't take their example, our foundation for even understanding what a role model is going to be skewed.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
It's going to be skewed because we're not going to know what to look and judge as being
Yeah.
a role model.
Yeah.
But and I do agree with you. I do agree with you. But let's say there's a person who, because I feel like to be able to study your history of the Sahaba and stuff, is yes, it is a responsibility of, I suppose, the community to like make that stuff more accessible. A responsibility on the parents to make that stuff accessible to their children. But I also feel like, let's say if a person doesn't have that, right, they might start studying about the Sahaba after they become more conscious of Deen, enlightened of the Deen, and then as a slow they might start by listening to like lectures on, the merciful servant, 2-minute lectures, 2-minute reminders, and then they become more, and then as they go on, they start thinking, I want to study my religion more, I want to look at the seerah, then I want to look at the compare, and so I feel like it's a process. But in regards to, and I definitely do agree in the sense that they are the most in that they are the best role models. But in regards to contemporary, let's say a person hasn't even got to the level where maybe you're a born Muslim, but you're not practicing, and so unfortunately it's a shame, but unfortunately those role models aren't gonna. You have to almost access them. You have to almost like open a book, open a video, try let me find out who Abu Bakr Siddiq was. Do you know what I mean? So in terms of contemporary role models, is it something that can
You're not going to stumble across their profiles necessarily,
right?
where you would say you would discover someone's YouTube channel or someone's Instagram page or Facebook page or whatever it is. You wouldn't, like you're basically saying, to acquire knowledge on that, you actually have to go searching for it and understand where to look for it. It's not necessarily going to jump out in front of you.
Yes.
But what the things that do jump out in front of you is contemporary people on platforms and role models and stuff. Yeah.
And is there room? So is there room for that, or should the Muslims not go near it? Because it is dangerous as well.
I mean, I'm not the one to here to say what you can and go near. I mean, that's just not my lane. But if people hang their entire like outlook on life based on other people, I find that to be a sad state of affairs in the first place. Role models are good to have to help and to encourage you. But if you don't know who you are personally or what you want to be in life, if you don't have any set, parameters and goals that this is the type of human being that I want to be in my life, then role model is not going to, help you anyway. You're going to end up just trying to formulate yourself to be like someone else. And that's not how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designed us. He designed us all to have that unique characteristic about ourselves, but the fact that we're all Muslims, we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we have many different things about us. So my suggestion for people, especially youth out there that might not be properly practicing or, might be considering getting into more of practicing the religion, is they need to decide who they want to be first. You know what I mean? Do they want to be this type of person? They need to set some things, like put a list down of 10 things that you want to be a part of your identity going forward in life. Then you would know that when you're working on these things within yourselves, you would see them in other people that are out doing it. And that's how you could find a good role model, that this person is already fitting into some of the parameters of who I want to be in life. You understand? Rather than just looking at somebody who has, this guy has 200,000 followers, he must be doing something right, I'm going to take him as a role model. Who the hell knows what this guy might be doing? You know what I mean? What might be right and wrong. So it's dangerous.
Yeah, so essentially what you're saying is have some kind of independence, go back to basics and figure out what, like, it's about self-growth essentially. Like,
Yeah, who do
figure
you
out
want to be?
right, make yourself the best person you can be, and if you can take things from different people and draw inspiration from different people in different aspects, that's kind of, you can use that
Yeah.
as a ladder, but it's about
But the primary thing when it comes to role models is that we have to learn and understand that every single person is flawed.
right.
You can't take a role model as an idol.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody's flawed. Everybody has the mistakes. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Kul bani Adam khata." Every son of Adam sins. None of us are gonna escape that. Al-khairu al-khata'ina tawwabun. But the best of those who sin are those who repent. So if we're looking at role models as infallibles, you know what I mean? And that's one of the things I think I may have had a discussion with both of you guys about, is that if I could go back and not have the notoriety that I have now, I would do it in a heartbeat. I'd sell it to whoever wanted it. You know what I mean? I'd give it away. You know what I mean? I'd pay them to take it. Because once you are looked at as somewhat of a role model, your whole life becomes judged. And you're not allowed to make mistakes. You're not allowed, you know, you're supposed to be this infallible wall of, you know what I mean? Like, people think that you just, you know, give lectures and eat rice and dal and sleep in the back of the masjid. You know, you have no hobbies. You have nothing. You know what I mean? Nothing. Nothing should come out of your mouth except deen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it becomes a huge pressure burden. That's one of the reasons I slowed down so much traveling, is because it became, I almost found myself trying to live up to that. You can't do that. You know what I mean? That's like a trick of shaitan, getting you to think that you're perfect, but or trying to fit into this, you know, area of perfection and how I present myself in public. It became crazy. You know what I mean? That I'd leave the house looking like, am I dressed appropriately if someone sees me as Yusha Evans? You know what I mean? I'm thinking to myself, like, what the hell is wrong with me? You know what I mean? I am who I am. I should know whether or not I'm comfortable with myself. Forget about what anybody else thinks.
I suppose the other sad thing about it is that when you make mistakes, people can pick up on it so quickly. And as you said, every human kind of makes mistakes. And one thing I've realized is that Allah is the most merciful. People are not. Yeah,
People are not forgiving.
Yeah, people aren't forgiving, and that's tough, man. Because like, one minute you'll think that people are on your side, next minute there's so many people who are kind of sending you messages like the worst message, because maybe you genuinely did make a mistake and it is something that's wrong and you should repent for. But unfortunately, you've made a mistake when you have a big following, and other people might make even larger mistakes, except that mistake might just be in private. And so, but you know, yeah, you're in a sense that it's very true what you're saying. It's definitely like a tough thing.
It's not only people are not forgiving, people are extremely judgmental in today's society. Extremely judgmental. So quick to jump to conclusions. You know what I mean? If I responded to or tried to adjust myself to every single criticism and critique I've ever gotten on social media, on YouTube videos or things of that nature, you know, it would drive me absolutely insane. Any post I make, there's always going to be something where somebody tells me something that I've done wrong or I'm doing wrong. And it's just like, what do you want? You know what I mean? What are you expecting from me? You know?
So how do you deal with that? Do you literally not reply to messages at all? That's the stance I take. I don't reply to anything, but just 'cause I can't handle it. Or do you reply to certain ones where you feel like you have to justify yourself? Or do you just, you know, post what you need to post and leave it? You don't even check the comments. Like, what's your process?
I will never reply in an attempt to justify myself. I don't reply normally to most things because they're just ridiculous. Like, somebody's like, you know, saw me with a hat on and like, oh, that's Jewish, can't wear hats. And I'm just like, you know, when you reply to stuff. But if I see maybe someone who maybe saw something that was genuine, some genuineness, maybe something that I even myself see, okay, yeah, that's, you know, something that I need to change or need to work on or shouldn't have been done or shouldn't have said, then I'll reply to that person thanking them for the sincere advice. You know what I mean? So it's case by case, but I would just say probably about 98% of the time it's not worth replying to, or I don't have time to even go down that road. I used to try to defend myself or justify or try to show the person that this isn't actually wrong. But then half the time I'd realize that the way the people are speaking to me in the first place or coming at me was not, they wouldn't care whether or not they were right or wrong. It's just they had to get it off their chest. So just what's the point? They're done.
So on social media, it's more often people like to say it's like negative than positive these days anyways. And it's very easy to be that keyboard warrior and just pick out people's flaws and mistakes and just generally writing negative stuff. We were just going through the YouTube and just people just it's so unnecessary sometimes, the negative that comes out of people's mouth. But the effect of that very small negative comment on the person it's relating to can be it can be dangerous. If you're reading through people's comments and messages, if they're aimed at you, if you've made mistakes, whatever, it can be quite hurtful. I think it's best almost just to pretend they're not there. Don't look into it too much, because you don't know who are these people to write their opinions and comments. Unless obviously you have made a genuine mistake and they've actually sincerely tried to give you some sort of advice, and there's nice intention behind it. But generally, I see on social media and generally now, people are just quite savage and raw and just nasty. There's a lot of negative.
A lot of time they do it for attention.
Yeah.
They want attention.
Yeah.
They're using your platform
Yeah.
to get attention for themselves.
Yeah.
So why am I going to feed into that?
Yeah, of course.
I don't want the attention first and foremost. I'm definitely not going to give it to you.
Yeah, for sure.
I suppose that's the reason behind. I suppose that's the reason you should surround yourself around good brothers, because if you have people that you trust and you know that look beyond that, if you have a group of 2 or 3 even brothers that you know will message you, hit you up and they're not shy to tell you when they feel like you've gone wrong, that's positive, because you'll take from that way more than you'll take from a bunch of comments. Like, for example, I know that there's certain brothers, and Abu Bakr is one of them. You know what I'm saying? And I know he's the same for you as well. Like, if I make a mistake, he'll hit me up on WhatsApp privately, and then I'll take it a bit more seriously, because it's not a random person making a comment on my Instagram page for attention. I know that by messaging me privately, he has no other intention other than to tell me, yo, like, maybe this is something you didn't consider when you posted this or something like that. So I suppose having good friends is like just that's another reason why we should be actively having good friends.
No doubt.
Another thing you said, Yusha, earlier is that when you're talking about the plane, is you said I love dawah. So you're saying about how, like, if you could, you would give dawah, but obviously you have to use your hikmah in when you give dawah. You loving dawah, is that another one of... So in one of your videos on YouTube, you were mentioning about how you have this nature of becoming obsessed with things. And so when you started martial arts, you had to become the best martial artist, and to the point where you ended up opening some academies and stuff like that. And so is it a similar ethos when it comes to your dawah and stuff? You love the dawah, so you feel like you have to become not the best... I don't know how I'm trying to word it.
Yeah, there's no becoming the best at it. But
No.
Whatever you do, you're doing it to your fullest.
You're trying to
excel in it.
Right.
Yes and no. I mean, anything that I do and put as part of my life, I'm going to try to excel at it. I'm extremely, driven like that and very competitive in nature.
What is that? Natural, just since birth?
It's just in me. I just have that competitive nature. I want to beat you. Okay. And I will just tell you straight to your face, I want to beat you. Right. But when it comes to da'wah, it's more of a sense of responsibility. Because if you know my story, you know that I lived, down the street from a mosque and had never been presented Islam in its proper format. Had I would have logically accepted Islam, Allah willing. So when I saw that was happening, and then the sheikh who had come told me about da'wah and introduced me that there's a whole field of Islam for people who want to share the message of Islam, and I learned about it. I felt almost that responsibility that I live in America, born and raised here. I understand the mentality of Americans. I understand the mentality of non-Muslims. I understand the mentality of Christians especially. Therefore, I kind of have this responsibility on me that I have to do it, because in reality, the past 10 years I've been traveling, giving da'wah. But if I could have just done it locally and never have traveled, I would do so, because traveling it's a fit in all of it in and of itself. So I do it because I feel that responsibility. If not, I would have given it up. I would be done. You don't understand. Du'at are some of the most misused, abused. That could be a whole nother topic on how the du'at get misused and abused in speakers.
Well,
in
let's
the
go
Muslim
into
community. So I do it. If I didn't have a passion or a responsibility and love for it, I wouldn't be doing it at all.
How do I get misused and abused? I'm interested.
I don't want to, but I mean, speakers are almost du'at and speakers, especially ones who travel for a living and give these big lectures at conferences and other masajids, and that do the whole traveling speaking circuit. We get abused.
Right.
I mean, our time is taken advantage of a lot of the times. You'll have people who will invite you from your home. I'm giving up time out of my life where I could be doing something else. I could have started 6 businesses in the past 10 years with all the time that I've spent on the road. But, You're giving up your time, your effort, leaving your family, taking this long journey. And then when you get there, people treat you almost sometimes. This is not always the case. There are the probably 25% of people who would treat you absolutely like a guest and absolutely with the honor that guests are deserved in Islam. But other times you're almost looked at as property of the invitee. You know what I mean? The whole reason that they've brought you is so they can put your name on a flyer and bring people to their center to get some advertising for their center and maybe raise funds for their center or whatever. So you're just kind of the hired, headliner that's gonna bring the people in, and they treat you like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a struggle. It's a struggle to keep doing this. Even my wife, after seeing the things that I've been through, she's like, I don't understand how you would do this. Put it this way, I would never, if it were dealing with a regular job, if this was a regular job working for non-Muslims, I would have quit after the first 6 months. I would have been like, man, I am out. I'm not a slave. You know what I mean? So it's a struggle. I'm sure if you spoke to some other speakers who would be a little bit more open about it, they'd tell you the same thing. I know because I speak to all these speakers.
Yeah.
And we all have the same complaints of how we get treated and dealt with. So that's why I've always recommended to young brothers who want to get involved in da'wah, who I see have, a passion and a talent for it. I always tell them, Akhi, if you're wanting to get into full-time da'wah, you start at least one business. If not, you can start 2 businesses, because if you make this your only avenue of life, you will be a miserable human being.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough.
So are you slowing down with the traveling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not because of how I've been treated. It's just because I've been doing it for a decade.
Yeah.
I've been on the road for 10 years. It's tiring. It's exhausting. My kids are getting older. My daughter is getting to the age now where she doesn't forgive me for leaving like my boys did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's really hard on me.
Yeah.
So, I've just wanted to slow down, as well as I want to slow down and focus more on my local community, be more of a help, because I've been for the past probably 3 years trying to impress upon the Muslims for social activism, being involved in changing society for the better. Not like we're trying to throw Sharia on society. No, but changing society, influencing society for goodness.
Yeah.
Homelessness, drug addiction, alcohol, all these things that we know society suffers from. But then I've started to think about it that I'm becoming a bit hypocritical because I'm not as involved in my own community that I should be. So I'm trying to put some more effort on that.
So you'll be at home during Ramadan?
During Ramadan, I'm home.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. So will you focus majority on Deen through Ramadan, or will you obviously, I know you've got businesses as well, would you have the balance there during Ramadan? Will you try and sort of put your mind focused onto sort of Deen related stuff?
Normally I try to balance everything, but during the month Ramadan is that one area where balance becomes skewed, because we're supposed to dedicate so much time to Deen.
Mm-hmm.
So Ramadan is where I put about 70-30. 30% in the fact that I can't not continue to manage my businesses and focus on them and things of that nature. But things that are unnecessarily in my life, then I erase that during Ramadan and put that effort towards.
Because the reality is, during that month we still have bills to pay, etc.
Yeah,
so we have to be aware of our dunya, don't we? But definitely, you'd say 70% you'd focus on Deen.
70%, yeah.
And would you have from the start to the finish? Would you have a sort of a consistent rate, or would you sort of excel for the last 10 nights, or would you?
Usually during the last 10 days of Ramadan is pretty much where we put about 90% towards the Deen.
Yeah.
It's 10 days. It's
Yeah.
10 days out of 360.
Yeah.
And 365. So got to give it that amount of focus.
Yeah.
Do you generally have a plan for Ramadan, or do you just kind of go into it? I mean,
I usually have a plan for Ramadan. I'm a person who's very detail oriented, so I like to have plans for things and things of that nature. So I usually have a theme. Every Ramadan, some type of theme that I'm going to work out through the month. Like this theme of Ramadan, especially with my daily broadcasts and stuff like that on Instagram and thing. I'm going to be more active with that, because I've taken a big backseat on social media for the past 6 months. Is going to be...
that.
Yeah. You have to, Akhi. I can't live in social media. It makes my brain, fried looking
the
at social
videos
media.
are beneficial though, because it's like short 15-second reminders
That's
that you
it.
just put up on. Yeah.
That's it. But I don't do it so much now, because the more videos I make, the more people will be responding and questioning and messaging, and So it just makes you have to be more stuck to your phone. You know, I have kind of rules and limits that I take time out from social media and actually live in the real world for a second. But this month of Ramadan, we're going to be talking about change. That's the goal of this month of Ramadan, is people who really sincerely want to make a change. Let's work on a plan now. During this Ramadan, you can accomplish that change, because 30 days is really all an individual needs to change their entire life. If they can set down certain things that they want to accomplish, certain plans, and start doing certain habits for 30 days, then they're on a good course to changing for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, science tells us, doesn't it, that it takes 21 days to break habit, or 21 days to also make a habit.
Create a habit, yeah.
And we got more than 21 days. That's
29 days.
Alhamdulillah.
So would you set goals through Ramadan that you personally want to achieve? Would you advise that people set goals? So do they want to read the Quran during the month of Ramadan? Do they want to read it twice? Do they want it 10 times? Do you want to learn a certain hadith? Would you set goals and organisation to it?
Set realistic goals.
Yeah.
That's what I encourage people to do in Ramadan, is set realistic goals. Because you might feel like now you want to do so many things in Ramadan, but we all also know that after the first, 4 or 5 days of Ramadan, you cannot do as much as you had set out to do in Ramadan. So I would set realistic goals, that you'll be able to accomplish during the month of Ramadan.
So if you had to give advice to somebody, for example, a young Muslim who's struggling at the minute, they're struggling with their deen, they want to get closer to their Lord, they're looking forward to Ramadan because they know they're going to taste that sweetness of Iman. What advice would you give them now, as we're coming up to it? What advice would you give them now? If they're falling into lots of different sin, etc.? Would you give them particular advice?
This is my personal opinion, so we're not going to consider this religion in any sense of the word. But all of Ramadan is about abstaining. You know what I mean? It's about abstinence. Yeah. We're abstaining from things so that we can feed the soul. So my suggestion to people would be, rather than looking at all these things you want to add to your life in the month of Ramadan, pick some things that you want to remove from your life in Ramadan. Just like you're going to be removing food and drink, which is extremely difficult, especially here in the UK. It's going to be like 18 hours.
18 hours,
like
yeah.
18 hours you're going to be fasting. So if you can give up food and drink for 18 hours, think of other things that you can remove from your life. Because sometimes we live in a society that we become overwhelmed with how much we try to jam into our daily lives. It becomes, so cluttered and clustered that you don't even know what you're doing anymore. So I've tried to learn to have a more simplified life. I've started to try to take a lot of things out of my life that are unnecessary. Even in my home, I told my wife, like, all this crap we have in our house, let's get rid of anything that's not necessary. I'm going to go with like this Japanese, like minimalistic, type of, because it's just so peaceful because you don't have that much stuff in your life. So the same thing with your bad habits and things of that nature. Try to become more minimal in Ramadan. Pick like 3 things. Okay, these 3 habits that I know I can change and get rid of. Ramadan's a perfect time to do them. I have more strength to do them. I'm abstaining from things already. Try to remove some things from your life.
So are you saying that not only is Ramadan a great period of time to kind of make yourself a better Muslim, but it's also a great time to make yourself a better person in general? If you want to become a more organized person and stuff, you can set those habits as well in Ramadan.
Absolutely.
Maybe just work on, I suppose, self-improvement. Focus highly on deen, I suppose.
Yeah. And maybe it's not just removing things from your life. It might be removing people from your life.
Right.
It's reality.
Yeah.
Ramadan might be that time that you tell this person that you know is a negative influence on your life that, look, this month of Ramadan, we just gonna have to, I'm not gonna be as available as much, and then maybe after Ramadan, I don't know if I'm gonna see you or not. That's one of my biggest pet peeves of people today in general is no one can be straight. I don't know what has happened to the world, especially when it comes to Muslims, Muslim men to be specifically, is that none of us can be straight with each other anymore. And that's mind-boggling to me. We gossip more than almost any community out there. And the brothers, we're not free from that. We gossip. I know, because people gossip to me all the time. You understand? And I'm thinking to myself, I was born and raised in the South. And in the South, everything's about being straightforward. These make the man. Like, if I have a problem with you or we have an issue, I'm going to just straight up come and tell you. Even if I don't like you and you're trying to talk to me, I'm not going to be this person who's going to give you a smile on your face and make you think this okay. I'm just going to let you know that, look, I don't really have a thing for you. I don't understand why people don't have that these days. And I brought it up in the terms of friends because so many people come to me and they're like, I have friends that are negative influence, but I don't know how to tell them that. What do you mean you don't know how to tell them that? You walk up to them and say, you're a negative influence in my life. I can't be friends with you anymore. Who cares? I mean, what has made us so worried about how the next person thinks or feels or views us? You understand?
We have to
What
become
is that?
hard-headed. We have to become a bit strong, like kind of strong-minded, I suppose.
Yeah, we not even that. We just have to learn to be very cynical about things and see things as they are. If this person right here is dragging me down the wrong road, and you're coming to me, which means you've probably thought about it, and I'm not probably the first person you've spoken to about this, and you know this person is dragging you down a wrong road. I don't care if you've been friends with them since nursery school. If you're dragging me to the streets or to hellfire or to prison, I'm just going to have no problem telling you, look, don't come around me no more. Until you fix up and decide you want to do the right thing, you can consider you and I no longer friends or acquaintances. I would not have a problem doing that. I don't understand why so many people do. It's a problem for me. But I also am a public speaker, so I'm not able, I tone that down a bit, you know what I mean? Because sometimes it can come a bit brash, you know what I mean? But
so would you say to be as straight and upfront as the word you're using, or would you be a bit softer and maybe just move away from certain people?
You can be soft about it,
yeah,
but you also need to be very clear. People need to understand where you stand.
It's good to let someone know that they are actually a bad influence.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for their sake as well as yours.
For their sake as well as yours. Maybe they'll go and think about it, and then they won't be coming to you. Why have you not called me? Why have you not?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can
We're straight up in
front.
front. If I don't message you as much, this is why. We need to be able to learn to be more straightforward. This is what Allah says in the Quran. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha wa qulu qawlan sadida. Speak the truth. Say what needs to be said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's a problem with Muslims today. We just can't, be straightforward with each other. It's always beating around, especially in the Muslim community. Because if you've been to the Middle East, you've been to the Middle East, right? Everything is beat around the bush. You understand? If you're even wanting to try to make a deal with somebody, it's like this 30-minute let's dance around the bush and. No, this is business. You know what I mean? This is what do you want for it? What is it going to cost me? Let's get it done and boom, and done with it. Yeah. Nobody's straightforward. It's this whole little song and dance, and I can't do it.
Yeah. So, are you very particular with who you spend your time with? Do you have many friends?
No.
Keep it minimal, yeah.
Minimal.
Yeah.
My circle is extremely small.
Yeah.
I'm not a very trusting person not by nature. By experience.
Okay.
I've lived I'm 37 years old. I'm not a kid. But after being a Muslim for almost 20 years now and traveling the globe and lived in Muslim countries, and I've just learned that you have to be very particular about who you let in your inner circle.
Do you find that people generally have their own best interests in their heart? Like selfish interests, perhaps? 99%
of people have their best interests at heart, self-interest. We do in our own lives. We are guilty of that a lot as well. Yeah. It'd be lying to say that we're not. I have a lot of acquaintances.
Yeah. Okay.
I know a lot of people, and I know a lot of people that I would trust in a sense that I call them up and we go have a meal together if I needed some advice. But as far as like my inner circle of people who know me, know my family, know where I live, those are on a hand.
So last time I saw you, we had lunch together in 59 in the cafe, and we were speaking about business. And you said made a statement that you don't trust anyone.
Oh no! When it comes to business
and money, no one.
No one
other than yourself.
That's
from experience.
That's from experience.
Yeah.
When it comes to business needs to be business.
Yeah.
You understand? Even if it's my best friend, brother, who I've known for 15, 20 years, if we're making a deal when it comes to business, it needs to be clear-cut, upfront, contract, black and white. You understand?
Yeah.
Not this whole handshake and a nod and everything's, hubbly bubbly, Habibi, we're all good. No. Because that ruins relationships. When it comes to business, things new. And this is also the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ.
Yeah, I heard
everything is in contract, black and white. Even the most simplest agreements need to be written down.
Yeah.
Because according to the sunnah, if nothing was agreed upon or exchanged in that meeting, then either party has the right to change their minds. But once we've made an agreement, in Islam, that's considered an agreement. Mm-hmm. But we know very well today, trying to get a brother to live up to his agreement based on his word is a problem.
Yeah.
So it needs to be in black and white. If you and I were in business together, I would expect you to check up on me and how I'm doing in the business and whether my numbers are adding up the way they should be, as much as I would do so with you. You understand?
Yeah.
It just needs to be that way, because then there's no confusion, there's no problems. But when it comes to business, don't trust anyone. No, not if you want to stay in business and be successful in business.
That's good. How long have you had your own business for? If you don't mind me asking.
I mean, I've been working for myself probably since 2005.
And that's something
2005 was the last time. No, 2004 was the last time that I was employed by anyone that I had to answer to.
Yeah. And did you make an intention that you wanted to be your own boss? You wanted to start your own thing up? Or
Yeah.
Did you just, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
you
did.
advise that to people?
I would advise it if you have the acumen for it.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone has the acumen
Mm-hmm.
to be their own boss.
Mm-hmm.
And if that was the case, then we'd have nobody to be employees.
Yeah, of
I'd have
course.
nobody to work for me. You'd have
Mhm.
nobody to work for you. So if people have that desire and that will and that acumen to want to be in business for themselves, then that is the most beautiful and honorable source of income, because I get to do it. Like, I'm here in London. If I worked a 9 to 5, you know, I mean, working in a cubicle in corporate America,
Of course.
I'm not gonna be like, you know, I need to go to London next week for a week. And they're like, oh, okay, we'll see you. No,
Yeah.
it doesn't work like that. So if you want to have some life to yourself, and I also made it up my mind probably in 2002 when I started looking into opening my own businesses, that I didn't want to be stuck in the corporate rat race, that I didn't get to live my life, that I'm going to work 50, 60 hours a week for the rest of my life only to pay bills and maybe save up some money that I'll never get to use because I'm working too much and then die.
Yeah.
No, we get one life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the ability to enjoy it.
Mm.
So enjoy it. Now I can travel. I can take off time when I want to take off time. I set my own schedule.
It's almost, for me, I find the time more valuable than the money for working for yourself, and having that, being able to, like, you've come to England for the week, and I can go here, I can go there, and to
Yeah.
have that freedom and flexibility is for me is where the value is, rather than the money. Alhamdulillah is fantastic. Obviously, earning your own wage is great, but for me, having that time and you can look at your next week's diary and
Yeah.
you could clear it and go and do your own thing. And I think that's the valuable thing, is having that time
Yeah.
control, isn't it? Especially when you have a family.
Even if
as
you're
well.
not successful and you're just getting by,
Yeah.
you're doing it on your own terms.
And you have your own terms and you have their own time.
I'm
for
doing it on my own
Yeah,
terms.
yeah.
And that's just something that is liberating.
Yeah,
that
for sure.
that I do my own thing.
Yeah.
I'm not answerable to anybody, because I have part of my nature that I don't have a lot of tolerance for foolishness.
Yeah.
I just don't, and I know myself as that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My very last job working for someone, I almost got into a fist fight with my supervising manager.
Because they were foolish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they spoke to me in a manner that was very demeaning.
Yeah.
And that's one of my pet peeves. Like, you know what I mean? You will respect me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
that. I'm going to demand my own respect. And if you don't respect me, then I'm going to show you what happens.
Yeah.
That's just, it's part of, it might not be even a good part of me, but I'm a human.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's when I decided, look, I'm going to work for myself. And if I have employees, I'm not going to treat them like this.
Yeah.
I'm going to treat them in a manner that they deserve to be treated as humans.
Yeah. And just for the viewers and the listeners, you have is it a martial arts academy?
Yeah, martial
Yeah.
arts academy. Yeah.
And I've actually mentioned this on a previous podcast after we spoke a few months ago. It's not an Islamic martial arts academy necessarily, but you have sort of Islamic etiquettes with your teaching.
Well, when it comes to martial arts for kids, the whole goal is not the martial arts. I have a 7 and 11-year-old son. Of course, I would like for them to have black belts and be able to do perfect,
Yeah.
side kicks and front kicks. That would be nice, but that's not why I would have them in martial arts. I have them in martial arts for the discipline, the etiquettes, the morals. This was all part of how martial arts originated, especially in Japan.
Mm.
It was a code of conduct. It was a way of life. You lived by the code of the martial arts, like the hagakure, which is the code of the samurai and things of that
Mhm.
nature. So we've taken the martial arts and turned it into a vehicle where we can teach children life skills, because they might not listen to their parents as much as they listen to me, and that's just hard for my mind to boggle. But I just realize it's reality. I
Yeah.
see it with my own kids. They respect the martial arts
Yeah,
instructor.
yeah.
So if their parents tell them, go brush your teeth, I might not be watching you, but Allah's watching you. A lot of time that goes in one ear, not the other, and like, man, what are you talking about? But if I'm teaching you every day in the martial arts class while I'm got your full attention and you're looking up to me like, "Bah, this guy can do flying kicks across the room," and I tell you, look, when your parents tell you to go and do your homework, you should do it whether or not they're watching, because Allah is watching you. This is integrity. This is ihsan. They get it. They listen to it, and they'll go home and tell their parents. Because I have a lot of parents that'll come to me and say, you know, I've been trying to teach my son this for like 5 years. You've told it to him once, and he comes home and tells me, you know, this is what Brother Yusha said. He said this and this. So
is that because of you and your personality and your character, or is it because you're a martial arts teacher and that's what part of it?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
People look up to the martial arts instructor.
Yeah.
You know, they have that sort of larger than life, especially for younger kids mentality. So they take what I say a little bit more seriously.
And you kind of with your word empower the parents.
Yeah.
And help them out.
Yeah. That's my goal, is to become a partner with the parents.
Yeah.
You know, if the child's not doing good in school, I want the parents to come and tell me, because I'm going to sort them out. You know what I mean? Even if it's like some of my students who are in their teens, they're having discipline problems at home. Parents come and tell me, I'm like, all right, when he comes in, send him to me. I tell him, go get on your headgear, you know, we're going to spar. You know what I mean? And I'm going to make sure. And while we're sparring, I'm being a little rough. You know what I mean? But I'm letting them know that, you know, I heard about that you got in your report card and the way you spoke back to your mother. You know what I mean? I give them nice few little taps here and there. They're not going to do that again, are you? You know what I mean? So it's the parents kind of look to me as that kind of, you know what I mean, like part of their family, extended family, that they can come to me if there's a problem.
Do you find yourself sort of getting close with the kids? Do you know them all?
I know them pretty well,
65 students?
I kind of look at them as part of my family as well. You know, I'm invested in their well-being and in their future.
You need to open an academy here, man.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sounds fantastic.
What you were saying about the kind of the martial arts effect being more prominent on somebody's kind of mindset and discipline. I heard a martial artist say that when you do martial arts, the beautiful thing about it is that it removes your ego. And the reason is because if you're training martial arts, let's say, I don't know, a couple times a week, or regardless of how many times you train it, there's no way you're ever gonna just keep training and always be the guy who's winning or the guy on top. You're gonna get your head kicked in a bit. You're always at some point, no matter how good you are, gonna be in a position where you're being overpowered or beaten up or whatever, or in some kind of lock. And knowing that removes your ego, because you're helpless at that point in time. And he said that that's helped him so much with his mindset. He almost feels like he can't become egotistical because of that, which I think is beautiful.
Yeah, it's a twofold. It's kind of twofold. Like, you know, there's somebody always better than you.
Yeah.
So it kind of keeps you humble and keeps you motivated to keep progressing. And there's always going to be somebody that's better than you. But it's also removes your ego in the sense that when I was a teenager, I used to have a very big anger problem. Like, I liked to fight. That was my thing. You know what I mean? If you looked at me wrong in high school, you know what I mean, I was gonna make you pay for it. You know what I mean? It was just part of my growing up. But when I became a martial artist, like now, I know that could I walk out in the street and probably pick a fight with 2 or 3 guys that are probably standing out here and mash them up? Yeah, no, I don't have any, I don't have a problem thinking that that I could do that. You know what I mean? Even if one of them knows martial arts, I know that I'm good.
Right.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But what benefit would that do if somebody's slurring obscenities at me, which it's happened to me a couple of times in London when I'm wearing my thobe, especially. Normally my old school reaction would be knock this guy out. You know what I mean? It's as easy as that. But now knowing that I can do that without a problem, you know, it kind of makes me more humble in the sense that I'm gonna do this guy a favor and have mercy and be merciful towards him by walking away. You know what I mean? And it's a good feeling. I'm not gonna lie, it's a good feeling looking at a guy who's slurring obscenities, you smiling at him, knowing that, bro, I could put you in the hospital. You know what I mean? Like right now, but I'm not going to. I'm just gonna walk away, and I don't even have to tell him that. I know that, so it's made me extremely humble in that sense. That I know what I'm capable of, but why do I need to show that? Why do I need to express that?
Yeah.
Now, if he came and put his hands on me and put my life in or my safety in danger, it's a whole nother scenario. He'll be in the hospital.
You know, the Gracie Academy is actually just like 5 minutes up the road from here.
Yeah.
And they do next time you're in London, or if you get a chance, you should definitely pay, because they do. You don't necessarily have to have membership. You can like just roll in there. But you're not major on jiu-jitsu, are you? Like,
I can do jiu-jitsu.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not my area of expertise.
That's what I mean, yeah.
But I've been doing martial arts since I was 14. So 23 years now, something like that. You know what I mean? So I've done most martial arts.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu is not a stranger for me.
Okay, fair enough. They say that like if you kind of have jiu-jitsu, you're always kind of going to be one up, because a lot of people train, or a lot of people kind of think to themselves that when fighting comes by, unless you're like a martial artist who actually knows what they're doing, a lot of people just think kind of fighting is, you know, you're standing on the ground, you're throwing punches. And so if you know jiu-jitsu and step one is getting the guy to the floor, now you're in your, it's like, this is my yard now, like we're on the floor, I know jiu-jitsu, and no one really, no, you don't see in movies people fighting on the floor, so there's not much you could do from here on in. So I hear you. I've been wanting for so long to jiu-jitsu. Remember I was saying in uni as well, my uncle goes to the Gracie Academy, and he swears by it, he loves it, and he's like yourself. He started in karate, and then he got his, I don't know how it works, martial arts, but he got some kind of black belt and all that kind of stuff, and then he started teaching, and so now he still teaches, but then I suppose it seems like a theme with people who are into martial arts, that once you kind of conquer one, you want to jump onto another one. And so he jumped onto a couple, and now he's on jiu-jitsu, and he's just like kind of scaling his way for that. He's fairly older now, he's in his late 40s, so he's like getting injuries here and there, but he loves it, and he just loves the I don't know, the idea of martial arts. He's an accountant by trade, so it's like an escape from his reality, his family. Martial arts, he's got wife and kids, and so to escape from all of that and just go, it's like just having like a chill time with the lads kind of thing for him. He loves it.
I agree and disagree with the whole jiu-jitsu. If you know it, you're good in the streets. Yeah. Just because
I mean, you're more knowledgeable on it. Why don't you? What's the?
Well, it all depends on the scenario. I mean, yes, a lot of fights end up on the ground because that's two people who don't know how to fight. You know what I mean? So their last was on the ground. But the last thing, like here in the streets of London, the last thing I'd want to be doing is rolling around with a guy on the ground. You know what I mean?
Right.
In the streets of London. You know what I mean? That's the last thing I want to do, because it's also a very vulnerable position. Number one, I don't want to be rolling around the streets of London doing anything.
Yep.
You know,
we don't go to the streets of anywhere, do you?
Yeah, no. And number two, it's very vulnerable. You know what I mean? If that guy has a homie, you know what I mean, and you're rolling around him on the ground, next thing you know, you're getting hit in the head with something and you're knocked out. Somebody's gonna kill you. You know, on my feet, I'm more aware of all of my surroundings. If it's good to have a well-rounded game, a well-rounded game to be able to defend yourself standing up or on the ground. But in reality, if you have a very good game, if you have a very good fighting skills on your feet, you can keep the fight on its feet.
Really, you want to be standing up, and the other person needs to be on the floor. You leave, leave the floor for your victim.
I don't want to get on the floor with him.
I'll stay standing up. I want to put you on the floor.
But if it ended up on the floor, that's why I have trained in jiu-jitsu. If it ended up on the floor,
if it goes there, you're ready.
I'm ready for it. But I would much rather him tackle me jump back up.
How high can you kick? Can you? If someone Sam's high, he's 6'5", and would you be able to reach his head on the first standing?
I could, but I'm not someone who. I work on flexibility, but I'm not trying to become a rubber band, because in reality, if I got into a fight with someone Sam's height, I don't need to kick him in the head.
When you're in a fight with someone Sam's height, what's the aim?
It would look good. It would look good for me to kick him. For me to kick him in the head.
You'd have to run back and then run back.
Yeah, but it's not efficient.
No, but what's the aim? So, so
how would you take me down?
Here's the thing, right? Two questions. First of all, obviously, we're not condoning fighting. No. If best case scenario, I think it was Bruce Lee who said the best form of self-defense is walking away. And so, at any point, the best thing is to do is, but no, let's assume now,
you have no choice.
It's fight or flight.
He's got me backed into an alley.
Right. He's 6'5". How to Yusha? My height ish.
Huh?
We're like
I'm 5'7".
Okay, yeah, same. There's nothing to be ashamed about.
No, it's the way I look.
Alhamdulillah. Right, you're 5'7", Sam 6'5".
Bruce Lee was 5'5".
MashaAllah. What do you do?
Everybody would ask me this. If I was in this situation, what would you do? There's so many things of what you would do, but there's certain principles I come around. Number one, if it's a street fight, there's no rules.
Okay.
You know what I mean? There's no rules, because I want to go home.
Yeah.
In reality, if he backs me into an alley and next to me is a big brick, you know what I mean? That's going to be my self-defense. I'm going to take that brick and smash him with it, you understand? And get away. You know, but my dad taught me something very young. My dad was a Navy SEAL. He said 3 things about fighting.
Now I see where you get the mentality from. Your dad is a Navy SEAL.
If they can't see, they can't fight.
Okay.
If they can't breathe, they can't fight. And if they can't stand, they can't fight. You know what I mean? So those are the 3 areas I'm going to look to exploit. Like if he's standing there, like a lot of macho guys do, legs spread apart, like, you know, come on. A good swift front kick to his groinal area, to his, you know, to his family jewels, is a real easy and quick way to bring him down to my size. You understand?
Okay.
So first
And
take,
then you
take
do
the
all
legs.
this.
You can't stand.
Yeah.
But you're lying. So then you,
Or
you
if-
take that,
yeah.
you're still breathing. You take the breath.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Or if he's in my
Hold on.
face,
Let's-
I'm going for his throat.
Okay,
You know what
Yusha,
I mean?
here's the thing.
Legs
A
are
guy's,
gone.
let's say you're in a street fight now, yeah? You're wearing a thobe, a guy doesn't like it, you're in London, yeah? And you're now in a street fight.
Well, legs. I have no options on my legs if I'm in a throw. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
that would,
Okay.
yeah.
But
Unless you
here's,
roll,
here's
could
my
roll
question.
it
I've
up.
got a
you
different
roll
question.
it up.
I've got a
You'd
different
hope to have
question.
something underneath it.
Because you're not looking to get yourself in a long 10-minute fight. You're looking to deal with your business and walk home, right?
Yeah.
Because that's your aim, right? So what is the goal at this point? Is it just quick knockout, walk away? Or is it like kind of push away, kick going on his knees, like, all right, you're lying down now, and walk away? Do you want to make sure that they can't kind of get back up?
No, the goal is to
Knockout.
is to get him to be disposed of in the sense that he can't fight anymore for a long enough period for me to get away. You
Yeah.
understand?
Right, exactly.
I'm not trying to put him in the hospital
Of
per
course,
se,
of course,
because beyond that's not self-defense. Now I am actually becoming the aggressor.
You're
You
just
know,
trying to
like
back
if I kicked him between the legs and he went down on the ground and I start stomping his head in, you know, I've now gone too far.
So
Right,
You know what I mean?
dispose of them, but don't put them in hospital.
Yeah, I'm not unless
That's the goal.
that's the only way that I
Sounds
can
good, yeah.
deal with it. You understand?
This is obviously if you're being attacked.
Right,
is
we are not
generally like-
condoning.
Yeah, this is if you're.
Well, I
being
think
attacked.
self-defense is a very important thing for
100%.
us to be aware of, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah. So it's good that we've spoken about it.
And the goal for me is to do it as quickly as I can so I can get out of
Get
there.
home to your kids, feed your kids. put them
I'm
in
not gonna
bed.
dance around with him and hey, you know what I mean, you know, all this the
Yeah,
way
you
these
know,
kids fight today, you know what I mean?
Mm.
You're gonna hit me, you're gonna hit. It's not gonna be any
When
of
you
that.
see those videos on Instagram, when you do pop on your phone, which is rare, do you have a little giggle to yourself?
Yeah, I laugh at some of them just like, you know, it's it's not a real fight, you know what I mean? This is because a real fight somebody ends up hurt.
Yeah.
That's just reality.
Yeah.
And if you got in a fight with me anyway, one of us is gonna get hurt. Either you're gonna hurt me or I'm gonna hurt you. That's just how that's gonna end. Because I'm not going to use physical violence unless it's the absolute last
Of
resort
course.
to this situation.
Right.
That's just reality. That's why, since I've been a black belt martial artist, I have not been in one physical fight outside of martial arts fights.
Okay.
Mm.
I've not been in a street fight ever.
How many black belts are we
I
at?
have 3.
Alhamdulillah.
Quite
In
impressive,
different-
mashallah.
They have so 3 different martial arts.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess them: karate, Krav Maga, is that how you pronounce it? And is judo a martial art?
Judo is a
I'm
martial
gonna
art.
say
Yeah.
judo.
No.
Why don't you
Was
just
any of
when
them
you
right?
ask what the 3 black belts? Why?
Yeah, I was just trying to play a game, you know, have a bit of banter with Yusha, you know, break the ice a bit. He doesn't trust many people.
Ice
Yeah,
is
a
broken.
very
Yeah.
small group of friends trying to get in there. Right now, I'm potentially merely an acquaintance trying to get in the friends circle with Sam.
The first martial art I did was Jeet Kune Do. That's Bruce Lee's martial art.
Okay,
That's the style he created. It's very similar to Wing. It has a lot of Wing Chun in it, but it's more of a mixed martial arts. Bruce Lee was 50 years ahead of his time. It's just reality. Then I did Taekwondo. I have a black belt in Taekwondo. I have a black belt in Krav Maga. Muay Thai.
okay.
And there's no belts really in Krav Maga. I'm just a certified instructor. I went through the high level certified instructors training. Krav Maga, there's no
So
real
it's-
belts because it's more like real street self defense.
Okay.
And the only way you would really know if it really, really works is if you had to actually defend yourself, which in instructor training you have to do.
And
They make you defend yourselves. They try to hurt you.
your kids, what are they currently studying in the martial arts thing?
My boys are doing Taekwondo, and my daughter, she wants to be in martial arts. She's not old enough yet, but she likes to punch and kick everything.
Okay. Wow. Do we have current events ready? Any current events, Mehdi? Yeah. Should we have a small break? A little toilet break?
You can have a break if you want.
You want a break, Yusha? Let's-
This is your show, man.
Let's have a small break and then we'll come back with we'll round it off with some current events.
Okay, fine.
Yeah?
Inshallah.
Right, perfect. Inshallah. Samurai. Okay, we're back. We were talking about. I was talking about before we were talking about the whole. Wow, what's happened to me? Before we were talking about the whole kind of martial arts and stuff that you're doing, Yusha. And what's your situation? What's your food situation? Are you like, how are you with food? Are you like a healthy eater? Or do you not mind what you eat? Do you have a diet? Because you seem like you keep yourself in shape somewhat.
Somewhat. It's been better. I've been better in the past with regards to my workout regimen than I am when I'm on the road.
Okay.
It's kind of tough. It's kind of hard. Like, let's say I do have a diet plan that I try to stick to, which is like low carbs, high protein, and I try to eat a lot of organics. Like I'm quite big on the sources of my food rather than what it is that I'm actually eating. Because if you're working out right, you have the ability to eat more, more variety of things. Because it's all about the amount of calorie intake and the amount of calorie output, as well as what kind of food you're putting in your mouth. So I do have a diet that I try to work on, a regimen. I'm big on water. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Try to intake a lot of water. But I think we spoke about last time the sources of halal meat.
Yeah.
That I have an issue with meat particularly.
Okay.
I don't try to eat it.
When you say meat, do you mean like including chicken?
Every meat.
Okay.
I have an issue with it. I don't try to eat a whole lot of meat, period. I'm a
Right.
seafood guy. But I do like my meat every once in a while. I'm from the South again. We like barbecue. We like fried chicken. We like things like that. But for me, it's about the sustainability and source of the meat. Like, I know that I go to a lot of halal meat shops, and I've done my research on meat and its whole process from beginning to end. What is organic? What is healthy? And things of that nature. I look at a lot of halal meat shops and can tell that the meat is not healthy.
By looking at it.
By looking at it, you can tell. Or there's a lot of halal meat owners that don't know they know the source of maybe the farm where their meat came from, but what was it raised on? Was it treated humanely? Did it have antibiotics? Was there any steroids involved? All of these different things that are being injected into the food system that are not healthy for you are finding their way into the halal meat. Because I don't think that it's okay to eat meat that's been slaughtered correctly, dhabiha, but that doesn't make it necessarily good for me. It might be halal, but it doesn't mean it's good for me. You understand?
Right.
If this chicken never saw the light of day, was pumped up with antibiotics and steroids, and housed in a cage where it breathed, ate, and slept in its own feces and things of that nature, and just because you said Bismillah and slaughtered it properly does not mean it's healthy for me to ingest it.
Right.
So I'm quite big on that.
What about milk? Because there's this big thing about milk. Two things. One is that it's not as healthy as kind of the government promote it to be, and two, in that the way that milk is actually on a mass scale produced, it's like they almost abuse the cows and like. All sorts of awful things I'm not going to go into, but I'm sure you've seen and read about it, what they do to the cows. And if you watch any of the videos, it just looks, you can't. What is horrible what they do to the cows. So what's your vibe on? Do you drink milk?
I drink milk, but I try to either drink organic milk that I know has been humanely sourced,
Okay.
or in California, the good thing is a lot of local farmers markets and things like that. I get like the old school glass bottle milk.
Oh.
That's not been put through the same treatment processes, and I know that the farms are humane farms where milk is produced in more smaller batches than it is, and it might cost a little bit more, but that's just the trade-off for putting something good in my body. I mean, you are what you eat. It's just
100%.
reality.
You're big on that, ain't it, Sam? You are what you eat, kind of.
Yeah, for sure.
You recently changed you changed the menus. We didn't even talk about it.
Oh, we've got more important things to talk about today than my new menu.
But you did change the
This
menus.
food is right up there.
Alhamdulillah, we've got new menu, yeah. So there's been additions to the menu.
Like
So
what? Tell
inshallah,
us.
On Saturday, brothers coming down, we'll go for some nice lunch. If you're free on Saturday, you should come down for some lunch.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
New menus. We've got all vegetarian still. Homemade baked beans, acai bowls, which are like sorbet bowls full of goodness, frozen fruit. New soups. You have to come and see for yourself. To be fair, it's nice. Alhamdulillah, it's a nice menu.
And more importantly, is the white chocolate mocha now available?
Yes. New iced coffee, the whole new iced coffee menu, new froyo
Do you know what I
menu.
try so bad?
What?
That you took a picture of it. Your hazelnut iced coffee.
Alhamdulillah, very nice.
Is it? Oh yeah.
See you on
honestly.
Saturday. I'll see you on
Yeah,
Saturday.
yeah.
inshallah.
We'll have the
I
full
need
whack.
that, I
We'll
need
have
that.
we'll have juices. We'll have everything.
We as Muslims abuse meat anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a person who would ever really see myself going completely vegetarian, but at the same time, when as especially Americans, when we eat meat 3 times a day, that's not the design of the human body.
right,
that
you're right.
was not the design. I mean, if you look at our history, even in like the times of the Prophet and the companions, and that they didn't eat meat 3 times a day. Meat might have been eaten a couple times a week for people who could afford that luxury.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, it might have been like once a month when they actually cook some meat and then they would eat on that for 4 or 5 days. So it's not like, the human being was designed to, our digestive system was not designed to process heavy meats 3 times a day, because your body never finishes processing that. You're constantly putting your digestive system into overdrive and being overworked. And anyone who knows anything about the human anatomy, how much energy and stress is put on your body through your digestive system. This is why fasting has been proven to be such a medically, they say 3 days of fasting can regenerate your entire digestive and renewal system of your body and regenerate cells, because once the digestive system is not sucking all the body's energy, then the body has the energy to reproduce cells and renew the blood and things of that nature. So we shouldn't be eating meat like we do in the Muslim community. Like we start breakfast with I know when the couple of times I've been to the Muslim world, especially like in Egypt and Oman and stuff like that, in Yemen, like they have like lamb shanks for breakfast. I mean, it's like, bro, what's going on? It's too much.
I like me a nice big meaty breakfast.
You're right. It is halal for us, permissible for us, but it's not good for us, is it?
No,
In a sense
not
that-
all the time.
And there was examples of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that there would be no smoke from his chimney for months, which indicates that he would have not cooked any kind of meats for months and months. And his actual diet contained a lot of vegetables. And even if you put it to test for yourself, if you are someone that eats a lot of meat, especially red meat, give yourself 1 week. Just take red meat out of your diet and introduce a bit more vegetable-based dinners. And you see the difference you'll feel internally. Like it is remarkable. You definitely feel the difference. So I'm not vegetarian. I don't know if I'll ever be a vegetarian, purely because I love to have a bit of chicken on occasion. I very rarely have red meat, but I do like to have a bit of nice chicken occasionally. But ever since I changed my diet from being quite a big meat eater to not veggie, but sort of I would say 60%, 70% vegetarian diet, I felt so much better for it. Like so much better for it. So the proof's in the pudding, really. I strongly advise people just to take a little bit of meat out of their diet and see how much better they'll feel for it.
Yeah, you can change a lot. I didn't go vegetarian, but for 2 years I ate nothing but fish. That was my only meat source for 2 years, was fish, and I was probably in the most peak physical condition at that time. Yeah.
Fish has got a lot of good oils in it as well, isn't it?
Yeah, fish is just an all-around healthy food. It does not have a lot of fatty acids. It does not have a lot of saturated fat or cholesterol and things of that nature. It's a very healthy protein. Fish and chicken are like 2 very healthy proteins.
Speaking of fish, have you watched a documentary called Blackfish
The one
about SeaWorld?
Yeah, I saw that.
Me and Sam recommended it to me. I watched it.
I live down the street from it.
Really?
Yeah.
In Orlando?
No, the one in
San
in
Diego.
San Diego.
Did we talk about it in last week's podcast or not?
I think so, yeah.
No, did we talk about the fact that I had watched it?
No, not you said
You
I
were
said I was going to
watch
win it, and then I spoke to you at your house about.
That's right, yeah.
Right, so I watched it last week, and let me tell you something. I finished that documentary. First of all, my wife turned and looked at me. She goes, "I'm sad now." That's the first thing that came out of her mouth, and I felt like I became a whale activist. It was awful. I was so sad. Like it's just insane. I would honestly man, I don't even know what to say, because I feel like we discussed it so much when we went to your house.
Did you say you felt like being a whale activist, or you've turned into a whale activist?
It's a bit harder to actually become a whale activist. I don't know what steps I would take. However,
Have you made any steps into being an activist?
I started watching some more YouTube videos about
That's good.
whale
Did you
activism.
see more of the people getting attacked by the great whites?
Yeah,
Well, not great whites, sorry, the killer whales.
yeah. It's just
A lot of trainers are getting attacked by them, aren't they?
yeah, it's
Almost
insane.
indicating, saying, look, I shouldn't really be in this big tank. I should kind of be out in a big ocean.
One of the craziest things that I saw. It's a bit vulgar to talk about, so I won't talk about it in detail. But now I don't know if so this whale. So what I was watching on this video, I didn't watch this process happen, but I was watching the video where they were talking about like them abusing whales, and they were saying about how like they use certain means to extract the sperm from this male whale, and they will breed the whale with like its mother. How like crazy and abusive is that? So that the mother's having the like whale children just because I think it's harder to get male ones. So like they just breed it so that they get more and more, and then they like it's just insane. It's just insane. It's so horrible to even like. It's insane, man. That documentary really just changed my perspective. I'm like mad.
What documentary are you going to watch next?
So I watched half of Minimalism. I did like it, but it was getting a bit too like. It was a bit boring, that documentary, although I do love the idea of minimalism, and I do actively, like I said in like episode like 2, that I do actively want to take steps towards becoming a minimalist, because like Yusha was saying earlier in the podcast, you remove physical things from your life, it will help you mentally, I think, as well. So minimalism, I've watched that documentary somewhat, the juicing one. I always love prison documentaries. I suppose being a criminologist, retired.
Is that an official title?
No, it's not really, but let's say it is. I love watching the prison documentaries. So, but there's not any on my list. There's a bunch of documentaries there. I was actually on YouTube earlier in the week, looking at trailers of Netflix documentaries. Nothing caught my eye too much.
Cowspiracy?
Cowspiracy? What is that about?
Yes.
Milk? Is that the milk stuff?
That's about the beef industry, period.
Beef industry.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe that could be the next one.
perhaps. I do love a good
You
documentary.
should do it. You eat red meat, don't you?
I'm not big on red meat,
Nah.
man. I'm not big on it
Chicken,
at all.
just chicken.
I'm big on chicken.
Occasionally have a bit
Fish,
of
I love
red.
fish.
You occasionally have a bit of lamb, don't you?
I like lamb.
Every now and
Like,
again.
on occasion,
man.
do you?
Not-
Yeah, because lamb is a more healthy option to red meat. It's more
To
of a
beef.
it's a more healthy option to beef.
And you like the taste of it?
I like the taste of
More
lamb.
than chicken?
It's hard to say.
I know
Depends on
different.
how it's
I
done.
know it's-
But
yeah.
if anybody knows that my favorite meat is lamb chops.
Lamb chops.
Oh, really?
Chops.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I like a shank occasionally, a lamb shank.
I can go through some chops.
You like shank, yeah, Sam?
There's a
Occasionally.
place in East London that I always have to visit when I'm in London to
The
get
chops.
chops. Yeah, I don't want to give them any free advertising.
No, that's-
Not unless they start giving me some discounts.
for sure.
Because the food is
Or
expensive.
they pay for sponsorship for their
They
podcast.
could
Yeah,
pay
yeah.
sponsorships, and if they do want to, they can always just email us at hello@freshlyuganda.com.
But what you can say is there's a very good place in East London that you can
Yeah.
get good lamb chops from.
Yeah, right behind East London Mosque.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Say no more. Say
Yeah,
no more.
Say no
literally right behind it.
Say no more. You're giving
We've
too
gone
much
into
away.
a lot of detail there, Yusha, and I think it's time for us to get into current events.
Current events.
Mehdi, what we got, bro? Have you got your thing on, your voice? Sweet.
So there's this whole hype going on about fidget spinners. Is there much in the States right now? Is it a hype right now over there?
My boys have asked me for one, so yeah.
Do they have one?
No,
Why? Stop. Just
they
let them-
fidget enough already. You
let
know what I
them
mean? I
enjoy
don't
it.
need them.
These fads are crazy, aren't they? How
Yeah.
they just come out of nowhere and they just so in your face and it will disappear soon enough.
Oh yeah,
And no one will even remember it.
it'd be trash.
Because people have mentioned it to me a few times. I'd not seen any. And then all of a sudden, boom, like I was walking down the road in St Albans and there was a big market stall and all he had was, he was just shotting them. I was like, well, where's this guy come from? And then I see all the kids down the road have got it. And then Ollie at the salon's got one suddenly. He's ordering
Ollie's got
more.
one.
Of course he has, yeah.
Ollie.
But he's the perfect candidate
How old
to
are you,
buy
Ollie?
in. He's the perfect candidate to buy into something like this. These fads. He loves it. He loves a little fad. Sorry. So he's got one for a bit. I think he's ordered another one on the way. But it'll be around for maybe 1 more month, 2 more months, and I'm sure it'll just
be gone,
disappear.
man. It'll be gone. There'll be something else. Yusha, he's 11, man. Let him. Come on. Bit of fidget spinner.
It's pointless. I don't want my kids to get affected by this every little fad that
Of
comes
course, otherwise,
along.
if you
and
do it now, each one you have to give into.
Yeah.
I wonder how much they cost because I haven't even looked at it. They must be like, what, £2?
You can get them anywhere from a couple of dollars to like hundreds, depending
Really?
on how
Oh.
intricate they are.
So essentially, what it is the toy has been advertised as helping people who have trouble focusing or fidgeting, such as those with ADHD, autism, or anxiety, and by acting as a release of mechanism for nervous energy or stress. And it's gone to an extent of some schools have banned them as a distraction, and there's a worry that they may disrupt students' learning. Others urge that fidget spinners can claim special needs students.
So some people are saying it can aid people who
Yeah,
have
it
special
can.
needs, and some people are saying that's just rubbish.
I mean, essentially it was to cater those that have problems like with ADHD, etc., and trouble focusing, but those that don't really need it have just gone on the new hype, the new craze, just to use it for the sake that everyone else is using it. So why am I not using it?
Yeah, there are some people that have that. They have personality disorders to where they need to be doing something all the time. Like they get very fidgety. That's what I call fidgety. But so that it could be applicable to something like that. But I have, alhamdulillah, 2 normal boys. So if you come to me and tell me I'm bored, I'm like, well, you'll figure something out. You know what I mean? Figure it out. That's what I did when I was a kid. You know what I mean? If I was bored when I was 11 years old, there was nothing. You know what I mean? Atari had just kind of been introduced to the world.
What's that?
Atari.
What's the Atari?
That's old school. The very first video
Do you know
game
Atari?
console.
I don't know that.
Yeah, Atari, and there was no key. There was just a joystick.
Okay.
But if you're bored, if I told my parents I'm bored, they're like, go outside and figure out something to do.
Right,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
The kids these days are too. They need too much stimulation.
What's
You
your
know?
thoughts on children having iPads?
Oh yeah, we discussed that, didn't we?
It's okay within limits.
Yeah. So you think it's good, but it have to be monitored a little bit.
Yeah, they have to be monitored in limits.
Do you mind
Like,
if I ask, do your boys have iPads?
Well, my boys have iPhones,
Yeah.
both of them, and my daughter has an iPad. But they only, like my daughter's on. She only like has like educational apps.
Mm.
There's no YouTube on there. There's
Okay.
only like a kids version of YouTube.
Yeah, the
that's-
kids- yeah,
the
I've seen that. Yeah.
Kids Tube or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And I have
How much restrictions can you have on an? Can you go on Safari and access anything?
yeah.
Yeah.
No, you can put parental restrictions.
You can, yeah.
Yeah, you can put certain restrictions on what they can and can't watch.
Mhm.
And my boys both know that if you have a password on your thing, I know what it is, and I will check it at
Yeah.
any time at any random place.
Yeah.
But I also my home Wi-Fi network at my home. I have a little app on my phone where I can turn it off. I can pause every device. That means there's no internet connection for nobody.
Yeah.
Oh.
So there's
Do
times
you
where
often have to do that?
I do that out of a part of the day anyway.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
That's
from like 5 to like 8 p.m. That's it.
Is that
Technology
doing
free.
homework and stuff? Or?
Yeah, that's homework. That's family time. That's dinner time. We don't need gadgets right now.
Yeah.
So I hit that and everything goes off.
Because there's so many people who criticize like children having iPads. Even maybe I might have fallen into it before I've had a child. But the goodness and the benefit you can get from it is remarkable. And I think it's the way of the world that we're very much technology driven. And I think if we're not sort of letting our children embrace technology now, they're going to be sort of even held back a little bit. I think it's a healthy thing if it's as long as it's monitored. If you think about the benefits you can get from any kind of device.
Oh yeah,
what you
it
can
has
have
to
with
be
it, it's just-
monitored. It
yeah,
has to be. There's too much kids can get into if it's not monitored.
of course.
I think we were the, I think we were the final generation in which there was some sort of restriction on things like technology and internet, because I remember when I was growing up, we did have internet, but we had one house computer. Like laptops, iPhones, and iPads weren't accessible. Like I don't know if they. I think that when I was growing up, the first iPhone came out, so I'm not that old, but. It wasn't like what it is like now. So like now, kids growing up, like even my little sister and stuff, like it's just straight away you kind of can have iPads and stuff like that. But when I was growing up, I think the final generation that had somewhat of a restriction in that we did have a house computer that did have internet that was like really slow, and the restriction that we had is that was the only device that had access to that kind of stuff. We didn't have phones and stuff, and we all had timings. So I grew up when I had, at the time I had 2 other siblings, so there's 3 of us. My youngest sister at the time, she wasn't old enough to like know about this stuff, and so we had slots. So we'd come home from school and we'd have to have our dinner and stuff, and my mum would allow us like maybe half an hour slots in the evening to do whatever we wanted to do. So maybe like I wanted to kind of watch some wrestling or something like that, and like so we'd have 30-minute slots. That's it. And so that was the restriction we had that time. But now it's not even. There's no restriction at all.
Similar for me, I had a restriction. We had one computer when I was younger to share, but still in that period of time that I had on the computer, the chaos that I would cause and the things that I would get up to on that computer, not
Yeah,
good,
very
at
true.
all. I'll be honest. As a kid, like even if it's just on MSN, doing just like
Very
causing
true,
trouble.
yeah,
I used to cause so much trouble on the internet when I was young. So I remember that, and I remember that when I do hand my boy a iPad or whatever, I'll remember the things I got up to, and just I think I'll keep a close eye on it over his shoulder maybe.
Yeah, I'm a little older in that sense that the first cell phones really didn't come out like beyond the bag phone.
Yeah.
Cell phones used to be in a bag, in a big
Yeah.
in a big bag, or it was actually physically in your car. The first like handheld cell phones I was in my late teens.
Wow.
I grew up with a pager.
I
With a
remember
beeper.
pages.
I had a beeper because that was the only. You had to wait on someone to page you. Go to a payphone, call them back.
How do pages work?
So is it just like one words that you send to each other?
No, that was before even like the SkyTel pager where you could actually kind of first text message. The first pagers were just a phone number.
So you page me, you'd page me your phone number, and I'd have to go to a phone number, call it, and say, "Yo, who's this?" You just page me.
Yeah.
Like Yusha, like, yo.
Or because you.
How do I access your pager?
You'd call the number for the pager, and then there would be a beep, and you would enter the phone number that you want me to call you back at. Wow. But because it was mostly from payphones, everyone had to had their own code.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you could there was 15 numbers you could put in. So if I paid somebody, my code was 007.
Okay.
You know, James Bond.
Oh, you could choose your code.
Yeah, you could put anything after it.
Was that your code?
Yeah, that was my code 007. So let's say I wanted somebody to call me back and know who I was, I would enter the number where I'm at and then star 007. So they would know, okay, you know, I mean, this is Josh calling. I need to call him back.
Right, okay.
That was caller ID at the time, you know. It was caller ID.
It's mad. Looking back at it now, like it seems like so. Well, it's not advanced at all, and we're so much more advanced. But that at the time was massive, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're gonna be like that.
When the SkyTel pager came out, where you could actually send messages back and forth, that was like revolutionary.
Yeah.
That's why I look at my kids now, what they have, and I'm just like, man, you don't understand the struggles.
Yeah.
Waiting by payphones for like half an hour, waiting on somebody to call you back. It was totally. I mean, the first iPhone came out when I was 27.
SubhanAllah. Well, I mean, that's still young though. Mehdi, we got what's up? What we got next?
So there's recently been a new study in Stockholm University, and they title it as "Your lack of sleep is making you hideous."
It's making you hideous.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And what it is that the university suggests that even a few nights of bad sleep is enough to make a person look significantly less attractive, and can even make people less liking towards you. So the researchers reckon that tired faces make people think we're less unhealthy, because seeing an unhealthy looking face makes us want to avoid that person.
It's interesting. Avoiding tired looking people.
Yeah.
Because they look unattractive.
Yeah, unattractive. So essentially, what they're trying to say in new study is that just by having less sleep is more likely to make you less attractive.
I mean, I suppose they say that when you go to the gym and you train and stuff, that the two most important aspects of gym are eating and sleeping. So not actually the gym itself. So I suppose, it must have a massive impact on your life and how you look.
You can feel it in myself. Like I didn't have a fantastic sleep last night.
Nor did Yusha. Nor did Yusha.
And I'm sure you can feel it, can't you?
I had 3 hours.
3 hours. I had better than that, to be fair. I shouldn't complain, alhamdulillah. But it wasn't. I woke up a few times and that. I can feel it in myself. I can feel it on the way to here. I can feel it. You're aware of it. But the other day I had a sleep in, and I hadn't had a proper sleep in for a long time. I slept to 11 o'clock in the morning, which for me is unheard of. And I felt so good. I felt so rested. I felt like I obviously needed it. I ended up just staying in bed. My missus took my boy away, and it was great. So at 11 o'clock I woke up, and I could feel it the rest of the day. I felt like new levels of energy. I felt fantastic. So you can obviously feel in yourself when you haven't had that kind of sleep. Now make that a bit more extreme and make it more often. It would have a massive effect on your life. And there's actually recently been a BBC documentary about sleep deprivation and the results of it. And it's things like anxiety, depression and stuff. And it makes clear sense because you can feel it when you've had a bad night's sleep. You don't feel your best. You feel a bit bad. Now multiply that, make that more often. It's only going to be a sort of a snowball effect of it, isn't it? So yeah,
it's
makes
another
perfect
thing,
sense.
isn't it? How some people say that with less sleep and exams and all that, like in terms of stress and depression, it really kicks in. So I'm sure like viewers would know, like how would you deal with stress, depression, etc.
We talk about stress almost every episode, innit, now, so it's a tough one, man. I suppose like the short answer would be like, if you follow your life according to the Sunnah, then you're probably gonna have the your best quality life that you can.
Really good answer.
Trying to have.
And
right?
just on top of that, sleep on that to do with that question, and on top of that topic, just try getting an earlier night because sleep is so important, and staying up late on your smartphone to the early hours or whatever it is, till whenever you stay up just doing nothing, it's a waste of time. Your body's got rights over you, so you need to early. And for me, I feel like I'm winning if I get into bed early. That's me being successful, because I think more sleep, the better I feel, the more I can give out. So make sure you're getting that sleep in.
I'm a big fan and proponent of naps.
Naps.
It's sunnah,
Yeah.
but as well as like, I find it, I can't sleep 8 hours a night. I just can't do it, because that would mean, because I'm up every morning before Fajr, which is like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
So to get 8 hours, I'll need to be in bed by 9. And that's just like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm usually in bed by 11, 12 and sleep till 5. So I usually get 5, 6 hours a night.
Would you never go back to bed after Fajr?
No.
No.
I can't. Once the sun is up, I'm up.
You don't? Even now?
No, not even now. Not for Fajr. Morning time is my time, because my kids and my wife don't get up till a little later. So that's like me personal time.
Yeah.
There's nobody around. I do my things. I work on my car a lot in the morning. But usually always in the afternoon, I always try to find a way to get a nap.
There's barakah in that time as well, isn't there?
Always try to get a nap. If I'm home, I'm going to get a nap on the couch, or I'll go upstairs in my office and lay on the couch and get a nap, or anywhere I'm at, I'll try to find a way. Like now, if there was somebody that was going to drive me back to London, anybody who's driven with me enough knows that I'm falling asleep in the car. That's like my favorite place to.
Yeah, you sure I've had enough of my car? You sure?
Yeah.
Really?
Because
A good old snooze.
I catch naps is the moment I see that I have an opportunity through the day, like, okay, I have 20, 30 minutes right now where I can get a power nap. It does so much for you.
Yeah. Mashallah, he's very polite about it as well. Like, listen, I hope you don't mind, but I'm not going to conversate with you now. Can I have a bit of a snooze?
Yeah, I'll let you know, but I'm going to tell you, like, I'm probably going to knock out.
I rate that.
Yeah.
Josh is like that as well. Josh
Yeah.
will have a little sleep any
Naps are like, they're changing.
Do you try and like control the length of time of your nap for, or will you just let yourself just nap?
No, I usually try to control it to like half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour max.
Yeah.
But there's times where like,
Do you feel like if you go over
like now, like I've only had 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
When I go back to the hotel, there's no time limit on my nap. I'm going to nap until I get up.
You're going to sleep.
Yeah.
Do you ever find like you have a nap on a Sunday afternoon? You nap for a little bit longer than you intended to, and you wake up and you feel really groggy, really confused. Does that happen to you?
Yeah.
As a napper?
Because that's not a nap anymore. That's
one of the reasons I avoid naps, because that feeling has got me too many times.
No, you
30,
have a
30
nap
45 minutes. It's optimal.
They say that the best nap is like 20 something minutes, but you have a nap at a good time, like that 30, 45 minutes, and it's perfect, and you do feel better.
Yeah.
So you have to.
Energizes,
It's about. Yusha, there's some people in this world that can have like a 7-minute nap. Can you do that? Like they can literally really like 7 minutes.
Yeah, I can do that.
I can believe that.
This is insane.
Yeah, I can do that. I've done that before when filming for like what's Peace TV or whatever, where they make you do like 30 episodes in a day. I've had times where they're changing the set and they're like, "All right, you have 15 minutes." I just knock out.
My uncle, who was trained as a Marine, who's a very, very successful businessman, a business consultant, advisor and stuff. So he lives in Oxford. So when he comes into London for the day, he doesn't get a hotel or anything. He will just be out doing his meetings and stuff. And he'll go into a toilet, sit upright and sleep for like 10 minutes on the toilet.
No.
Yeah, that's a big part of his day. He'll have like a 10-minute sleep. And it's...
That is not recommended.
That's not, I'm not saying recommended.
Probably not on the toilet.
I don't think it was necessarily like a public toilet. I think it's probably like in somewhere nice in an office. But he's trained as a Marine, yeah. So that's like
they can sleep anywhere.
So he would just sit there and he would go and sit up and have a 10-minute sleep, wake up and then go back to work. It's amazing. I was kind of like asking him why, but he said it makes him feel better. I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? You need our sleep.
It's just that little bit of rejuvenation. You know what I mean? You get that rest, and it's also part of the sunnah.
Yeah.
To have a qaylula, to have an afternoon nap.
Right.
You know what I mean? They still do it in the Muslim world, where they after dhuhr you'll get like 2 hours off, which is way too much. The Arabs take advantage of everything. They work probably the very smallest amount of hours in a work week in the whole world. But it is part of the Prophet's sunnah that in the afternoon, during the hottest part of the day, he would go take a nap.
Do you would you ever consider moving to a Muslim country, or are you, because you said that you're happy kind of like, and you want to spend more time on your community in the States?
Yeah, I would consider it if I felt like it would be a beneficial thing. I've lived in a Muslim country before, but it also comes with its disadvantages. You know what I mean? For someone who's never been to a Muslim country or spent time in a Muslim country, it looks very what is the word? You look at it with rose-colored glasses. You
Right,
know what I mean? Like
right.
this is a Muslim land, but when you get there and kind of spend some time, you kind of realize that it's just like everywhere else. There's problems. There's a lot of racism in the Muslim world and things of that nature. So yeah, I would do it if I saw it to be beneficial. But
You're very much so happy where you are.
yeah, I'm okay where I'm at right now.
You got anything else? Current events?
Yeah, so on the 13th of May, hospitals, clinics, and ambulance services across the UK were disrupted by one of the largest ransomware attacks in the history, like to the day, like on Friday. And operations were cancelled and ambulances were turned away from the emergency room at one, like, during London hospital. And, like, activists and conspiracy theorists were on the move on that day.
Conspiracy theorists, you said. Yeah.
Sounders look like
I'm just going to take that cup from you.
Sorry, bro. I know it's distracting you. Yeah.
That's what he's done there. Just so you can probably.
I just felt like I had to completely.
And I actually watched your face. You were going.
Yeah, I just wanted it to come off.
Take that from him. Sorry, guys. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, so as you said, they were going, like, YouTube videos were going everywhere. Doctors were going crazy because emergency services were down, and I'm not really sure if they did get any. I think only serious cases, like people were allowed, I don't know, like pregnancy, etc. But other than that, I mean, there were a lot of conspiracy theorists going around, like, World War III, or this is just a test to see, like, how it would feel like if everything was put to a stop, etc. So that was a big thing going on, but they managed to resolve it. But imagine the whole NHS having a lockdown and having a message on the screen saying lockdown, or everything stopped. Like, it's always what they saw is a screen. Every single doctor, especially in the GPs as well, saw, like, a screen full of codes and then a huge lock and saying lockdown, and no one knew.
I heard that there was a hack on the NHS, but I didn't know what it was. Do you know?
No.
Yeah, I don't know much about it.
I don't know much about it either. I did definitely hear you say conspiracy theory. Yeah.
You do have a good old conspiracy, don't you, Sam?
No. I just someone else in the comments were, "Oh, Sam's such a conspiracy theorist." Or,
Is that what he said?
yeah, something like that.
It's not very nice, is it?
No. Well, I don't know. I don't think they were saying it in a bad way.
Oh, they just fact you.
You just say, "Oh, Sam's with his theories," basically. What do you think? You show all these big theories like 9/11, all that kind of stuff.
Be careful there.
Yeah, we're gonna take this show in another direction
Yeah.
real quick.
Yeah.
We're talking about
I'll say it
conspiracies
in the
every
sense
week.
that I believe none of what I hear
Okay.
and very little of what I see.
So there's more to what the eye can see.
Yeah.
That's a
For
good-
anyone who believes that everything that they see or hear or read or watch on TV is reality, then they are living in a false. They are the one living in their own reality that they've created for themselves. It's not true. You know what I mean? To think that everyone in the world is out for the best interest of everyone else is a farce and is far from the truth. We have to be responsible for our own well-being and our own family's well-being in irrespective of what might be going on around us. You know, so I'm. We could go down that road very long, but I'm a big, person, like, when it comes to, like, vaccines and water, and yeah, we could go way down that road. But
Maybe we'll have a nice chat off air. Right, that is the end of current events. Right, just before we round off, I tend to, on these episodes, discuss, either Sam or me, we tend to discuss, something we may have heard, throughout the week or something like that. And one thing that I wanted to touch on, and the reason I want to touch on it, is because I think it's a big issue in our communities. Well, I don't know, but it's definitely a big issue in, the community kind of where I'm from. It's this idea of lying, and how lying is clearly it's clearly impermissible, essentially, in the Sunnah. And what I was listening to, the Khatib was talking so much about lying, and he was giving evidences, and specifically what he was talking about is how people lie to do stuff like get their maybe tell the school that their kids are not feeling well, or maybe they'll lie and pull a sickie off work and stuff like that. And so the things that we see as like minor things, right? Or maybe just general things like this that we probably wouldn't see as an issue. And he was basically honing in on the fact that it's still a major thing. Like you're lying. So calling into work, calling into your kid's school and saying, "Oh, my kid can't make his school today because he's sick," but really because you want to take him somewhere. At the end of the day, it's a lie, and it's something that is against the sunnah. And I just thought, kind of to round off, like it's something that I was listening to, and I think it's such a major thing that happens. Like we talk so much about us as Muslims being like honest and having great characteristics, and we sometimes might ignore the fact that we make small lies that we think are minute, but actually they have a big they show on our character quite a lot.
There's a good reminder not to lie.
Good one.
It's like I said before, Muslims need to be, people in general, just be more straightforward.
Yeah.
Just be more straightforward. Like, we need to become a little bit more thick-skinned, if that makes sense, to where we're not so much worried about our outward perception and how people are going to think and how people are going to feel. Like, if my son's not coming to school, I want to take him somewhere. Like, the reason we would lie in that situation is how we think that we would be perceived by the person who's answering the phone, listening. If you don't care about that, then you have no problem being straightforward. That, look, my son's not coming to school today. I have something I'm going to do with him. He'll see you tomorrow. Boom. That's it. I don't care. I mean, we have to have that type of where we can break off our concern for other people. It's not where we're becoming cold-hearted and we don't, really care about the other person. It's just we are not bothered about the perception that they're going to.
So don't lie, tell the truth, and be confident.
Yeah.
Works for me.
So in that specific matter of like kids not go to school, in this country it's like illegal, innit? So like not go to school,
Okay.
So it's a bit of a different matter probably, that one. I think it's a bit deep in it.
You think about that
I know about that exact
example
example
of a lady,
of school,
mother
yeah.
taking the child out of school, even though they have to go to school. And you're saying,
Right.
how would you get them out of school?
I'm not trying to go into that, but I'm just like, because we had that discussion, didn't we, about how like if we wanted to take our kid on holiday, would we take him on holiday? And you were saying that
You have to find like what is
Right,
the actual ruling and law on that.
yeah, I suppose.
So I won't comment because I'm not really too
Yeah,
sure.
I think
I'm sure
it's best
there's
we don't
always a
speak
way
about
around it, but probably there's always a way around it with always telling the truth.
Yeah, you're right.
Remember, someone taught me when I first became Muslim, not to lie at all, but it's about how to say things in a certain way. So, for instance, like I had to go to certain things, like if I'm going to a talk or I'm going to go somewhere, and I didn't want my family to know that I was going to an Islamic talk. Rather than lying, saying no, it's not Islamic talk. It's about wording sentences the correct way. I learned that when I first came on Dean, and it's about using wisdom with when you're talking to people about what you're doing, etc. Because do you know what I mean by that? Not telling lies, but just saying things in a
I know what you mean,
way.
because when you first came to the Dean, you're conscious of your family being like to.
So one of my worries was for them to know everything I was up to. Not that I was up to anything bad, but I know they wouldn't necessarily understand if I was, say I went to Leicester for the day to visit some mosques, rather than me having to. That's actually an example I did. Went to Leicester for the day and visited. There was a thing going on, whatever. And I didn't want to tell because there was a family dinner. I didn't want to tell my parents what I was doing. I said, I'm going to go to Leicester to visit a mosque. So it was just about word. I remember I was taught how to word things without lying. Do you know what I mean? Using hikmah, basically.
Yeah. A lot of times we get into problems with the small white lies as well, because we think we need to have an answer for everything. We have to always answer everything. Sometimes either saying I don't know, or it's I'd rather not say, or frankly it's really none of your business.
Yeah.
It's a problem. It's not a problem to say that. You know what I mean? It's not really any of your business. You know what I mean? Or I'd rather, if you want to say it more politely, I'd just rather not say.
And times I've used that, it's actually worked. Or another one I've used, and only because it's true, is like, I can't tell you I have an amana. Like I told someone I wouldn't say it, and that straight away it's like, okay, fine. It's always worked. It's like, okay, cool. I'm by not telling you, I'm just keeping my word basically. So I'm not gonna tell you if someone asks about something.
Yeah, especially when it's personal matters.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people might ask me like, okay, where's your wife from or whatever. Like, I really don't know you that well, so I'm really not comfortable telling you that.
Yeah.
And
it's none of your business.
Yeah,
It's not going to
it's
affect
not
you in
really-
any way, shape, or form, really.
I don't see the benefit in even answering that question anyway.
Yeah.
So we have to just be more conscious of being straightforward and
Confidence.
yeah.
Yusha Evans, it's been absolutely amazing having you on. I think I speak for Sam and myself when we say that it's been a delight. I think
Pleasure's been mine.
it's going to be probably the easiest podcast episode for me to edit because I'm just going to piece everything together and click upload really. Alhamdulillah. Please, if you did enjoy yourself, please do come back when you're in London. You're always.
If I didn't, I would tell you.
Yeah, you would. So, being so straight up, did you enjoy it or not?
Yeah, it was fun. Alhamdulillah.
Okay, alhamdulillah. You're always, like I said before, more than welcome here, whenever and wherever, and whenever you're in London, and we'll be sure to hit you up if we're in America.
Inshallah. If you can make it into America, yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much. And just guys, to round it off, remember that tickets are still available for our event in Ramadan in Light. It's to help. I'll talk about it in the intro, but you know, it's to help support the people of Gambia. There's a project that Spot are building. They've almost finished the building of a mosque, a school, and an orphanage in Gambia. And this event specifically is to help raise money to provide electricity poles to provide electric in the mosque, in the school, in the orphanage. So essentially, there's electricity. It's as simple as that. The event is on the 4th of June. You get tickets at izalha.com/spot. Tickets are £5. It's a non-profit event, and we wanted to benefit the people of Gambia, but at the same time benefit the people here while we're here and doing an event here. So there's going to be a business Q&A panel with Sam and Omar, young Muslim entrepreneurs. We're going to have a health and fitness Q&A panel with young Muslim people who are in the fitness industry, that are in the health industry, nutritionists, natural bodybuilders and stuff like that. We've got Muslim Bilal, who's going to talk more about sport. He's been at the sport journey since the beginning. We've got Tommy Evans going to be dropping some poetry, and it's going to be nice. The event is hosted by yours truly, and it would have been lovely if you was here.
If I was, yeah, I would have been.
But yeah, please do come down. Please do support the cause. And with that being said, we look forward to speaking to y'all next week on episode 15. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.